Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I am doing a live stream on December 24th and a recording. So we're going to go over the news, we're going to go over the market. The market does close early today at, I believe, 1 o'clock. So the market telemetry will be a little bit truncated, but we're going to go over other news in addition to the market. But before we do that, please help support my work by making sure you subscribe to all my channels. I have 4 channels on YouTube. I have Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. I also do live streams with Rumble and YouTube. You can also see my live streams on my website, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Underneath the broadcast drop down, you can hear podcasts of previous episodes in audio format, or you can see the current live stream or the last live stream on the live section of the drop down for broadcasts. So that's a great way to follow. So you can watch the live stream on YouTube, you can watch the live stream on Rumble, and on my website. In addition, I'll be opening up the lines on X Spaces for call-ins. You can just listen in if you want, or you can just request to receive the mic and you can ask a question or whatnot. The whole idea of these shows are to be interactive, so please participate. I appreciate for the ones that are watching right now. So before we go to Bloomberg, I want to just mention that we have on the S&P 500 at 11:30 a.m. New York time, we have 6,016. So that's really good. We almost mean reverted from the Fed announcement. The VIX is trading at 1585, so lower risk. The Euro USD is trading at 1.038, so dollar still relatively strong to the euro. Oil is trading a little higher today, above $70 a barrel. Bitcoin is trading higher. The ETF that I'm looking at is the BITO ETF, the long ETF. It's trading at 24.11. Pre-Fed announcement for BITO was around 27, so it hasn't totally mean reverted yet. I think that Bitcoin's trading at about $97,000 per coin. USD yen, Japanese yen, is trading at 157.35, so the dollar is stronger with the yen. So dollar is relatively strong, and equity markets are relatively bullish today. So things are moving on, but liquidity is probably not as strong because it's a short trading day. It's going into a holiday. So with that said, let me just plug just a couple products before we start the news. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and help support the channel by purchasing the health supplements that I offer. It's things that I take. I take it in a certain way. It's called a stack, and I tell you how I'm doing it. But these are products that I use. So a great way to improve your health is to go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and follow my protocol. One great product line that I have is the deodorants. These are deodorants that are made from essential oils from the Himalayas. Very high quality ingredients. You can get it in peppermint, lavender, and tea tree, or in citrus. Now, this is for males and females. So and it's dual purpose. It will help to detoxify your body because of the ingredients that are in here, but also you use it as a deodorant. So it's a win-win for you. So please get a couple bars for your household. They're very high quality deodorants. It's something that you should be using. It's much better than the normal deodorants that one would get at the drugstore or at the grocery store. This is very high quality, essential oils from the Himalayas. All right. So another great product that I have, and it's really important to get enough sleep. It slows down the aging process and it boosts up your immune system. A lot of people don't realize that chronic sleep deprivation means that you have higher cortisol levels. That means your immune system is down, and it also means that you're building up toxins in your central nervous system. When you're not sleeping well, you can, if it's chronic, in your later years, you could get early onset of dementia, all right? So you don't want that. Slow down the aging process, improve your immune system, detoxify the body. Take the Good Night formula. Use this supplement to get in the 3 cycles of REM sleep, to get deep sleep, to be well rested in the morning, to detoxify your central nervous system, and to consolidate memory. This is really important. It's a major part of an anti-aging holistic protocol. So please go to my store and get the Good Night formula. And lastly, I believe in dual purpose products, all right? I want my listeners and customers that go to the store and get the supplements, get supplements that have dual purpose, all right? Really important. Now, one of those dual purpose supplements is the olive leaf extract. This is a great supplement where it'll help with your immune system and your cardiovascular system. It brings down inflammation and it helps to control your total cholesterol. A great way to get healthy. We're getting into the new year. I want you to make a New Year's resolution, all right? Look in the mirror and say, you can be a better person. You can be a better person spiritually, in better health, right? You can be healthier, you can be more fit, you can be more knowledgeable. And if you do this holistically, you can improve the health of your body and your mind. So a great way to improve the cardiovascular part in your immune system is to take the olive leaf extract. So do a New Year's resolution. Say, you want to get healthy. You can do this. As long as you are diligent and you're continuous with the process, you're going to see compound effects over time. So please go to the store, get the olive leaf extract. This is a high quality product. All my products are high quality, all right? And it's stuff that I use, all right, to slow down the aging process, improve your immune system, and improve your cardiovascular health. A lot of people don't realize one of the biggest diseases, some of the biggest diseases in the United States, diabetes, heart disease. And they can be mitigated by proper lifestyle changes and supplementation. So please go to my store and get the olive leaf extract. This is high quality, dual purpose, very important. Okay, now with that said, let's jump into Bloomberg here. Let's recycle because I paused it. I don't want to miss it, the live feed. All right, so let's hear what Bloomberg has to say.
Because I get to talk to Tim Cook quite a bit. They got this gushing, and that's a CFA term, free cash flow, every single year. They can actually issue debt if they want to, and they buy back stock. And that's a good thing, that's a wonderful thing. But they have little to no dividend yield. How do you think about that? What do you, like if Tim Cook walked into your office today, what would you tell him about dividend policy?
Well, there's a few things that for dividends are inefficient relative to buying back stock, and that's just because of sort of for tax policy. So he's actually doing the right thing by keeping it in reserve and investing in the company and buying back stock instead of paying dividends. Now, our clients, our advisors' clients, really want dividends because they like to get a check in the mail. But the amount of free cash flow that Apple generates and their need to put it to work, they have some flexibility, some optionality. So as a former corporate strategist, I'm not going to push them to pay a 4 or 5% dividend yield. I think his investors would like it if they paid a little bit more. But he's behaving at least in a tax-efficient manner in what he's doing. I think the challenge with Apple is it's very hard to grow. They've become a dynamic platform, but they pretty well have saturated their markets. So they need to come up with some new things to do, whether it's new things they can toll you for on their network, new software development, or they need to come up with some new hardware platform for their software. And that's hard to do when you're pretty much dominant in your core form factor, which is the phone.
I can tell you right now, Paul did not enjoy that answer. He would definitely prefer that dividend boost. But Point
That's okay,
taken.
but I'm
That's all
gonna
right.
stay on Tim Cook, I'll see
He
you
is
later.
going to stay on Tim
Yep.
Cook, that's for sure. So let's get to the idea of all the money kind of sitting in money market funds or my money in that high yield savings account that's maybe not so high anymore. Where does that go? Where should that go?
You're singing my song because I gotta talk with people, that's what I say, you have $7 trillion sitting on the sideline. It needs to find something productive to do as interest rates or short end of the curve comes down. Unfortunately, with inflation being stubborn, you're seeing the Fed being less likely to lower rates, which means that it's going to be more of it sitting in cash for longer than finding better opportunities. We have a couple of funds, and one of them is yielding 4.8%, which is an equity fund, plus you get some growth, and another one is yielding 3.8%. Those are now above what you can typically get in cash. So we're getting to that fulcrum point where we're going to get a little bit more inflows. But the challenge that you have for ordinary people is what can they do with the money? Buying Apple or the Mag 7 names at 30 to 40 times earnings, and of course some of them are 50 times earnings, seems risky to me. Even though they have tremendous free cash flows as enterprises and they're great businesses, it's just super expensive. So that's why we believe there will be a shift to more value names and cheaper names in equities. But we're also seeing in fixed income, a lot of people saying, you know what? Instead of being on the ultra short end and now no longer getting 4.5+%, maybe I'll move out a little longer on the curve. We're seeing some of that as well.
So, Eric, equity investors have just enjoyed 2 years back-to-back of north of 20% returns in the S&P 500. How are you guys approaching 2025? What are your expectations? What are some of the areas that you guys are looking at?
Well, only really high-tech investors or index investors got that. If you look at what's driven the market, it's pretty much been all technology.
Yep.
Communication sector or in consumer, where I consider Amazon a technology company. Web services is a big part of their earnings, and I consider Tesla more of a technology company. If you take those out, everything else has really underperformed. The growth index is up over 35% this year, led by tech, and value stocks are up just 15%. So investors who have been in those areas have great returns. Investors that have been elsewhere have had above average returns, but not as spectacular. I think in 2025, the sledding is going to be much harder for technology names because their growth rates relative to everything else are slowing down. So people aren't going to pay those premiums to get that rare and superlative growth anymore. They're going to say, well, if I can get 10%, 15% growth in a cyclical stock that's trading at 10 times earnings, I'd rather own that than pay 40 times earnings for a high expectation stock that's already doubled in value in the last year. So we expect more of that to happen. In terms of sectors, I mentioned the three: energy, materials, and healthcare that have been the lowest performers. I think as there's more clarity in those names and expectations have been reset, some of those are going to start to shine. I think the area I'm most concerned about is the consumer. If you looked at the latest consumer report, you saw that take out autos, the consumer was down. And so that shows that the economy is a little weaker than people are talking about if you break down the data, and that's where there's a little bit more risk. And I think that's why Powell is hesitant to stop cutting rates so quickly. The dot plots say you're going to get 2 more rate cuts. We think maybe 3, because the consumer is weaker than people are talking about. And it's just what your prior guest, the Cisco CEO, was talking about, that the aggregate price increases have gone so far that even though inflation is slowing down, people are still struggling to pay for things.
Which, from that, I know you wanted to stay away from policy, but that's where policy actually counts. Because if we have tariffs, for example, I mean, that's going to affect sort of what people might be paying, which then affects that lower income consumer, no?
I think tariffs are generally a bad idea. I think the administration in the past has used them as a cudgel to get people to behave the way they wanted to. I think the biggest positive we've seen so far with the Trump team and administration is to stop blocking M&A deals, and we've seen many deals already. If there's a greater free flow of capital, you'll have greater capital efficiency, and some of these cheap names will be acquired. Already in our portfolio, we've had 4 deals in the last month, which is more than we had in the last 4 years.
Wow. So do you expect that to continue in 2025?
Absolutely. I think this is a great year to be a banker.
Yes, exactly. That's
So,
what they like to hear.
Paul's a recovering banker, so he's really M&A banker, so he's super pumped to hear that. All right, Eric, thanks a lot. Eric Byrich joining us. Sound Income Strategies joining us there. I have to tell you, high yield savings account.
Yeah.
The issuers had no problem lowering that rate before the Fed
Is that
cut
right?
the last
They
few
did,
times.
okay.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
they're good about that. And yet the 30-year mortgage still, 6.7% for a fixed mortgage. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, the 10-year Treasury is sitting here at 4.61%. How about that?
Hey, we are off the highs of the session when it comes to yields because we had a 5-year bond auction. I promised you, bid to cover
Oh, boy.
ratio 2.4 just means it was a teeny tiny bit light. The high yield rate coming in more than the prior auction did. So, there's still demand, but there's not that much volume at the moment. Okay, coming up, we're going to speak to the CEO of a company that's trying to serve as a new conduit between private capital, government, and critical mineral innovation.
All right, so Bloomberg's going on commercial here. I want to switch to the story of the woman being burned on the subway. A lot of people know quite a bit about it, but I wanted to do a cursory coverage of the different news networks. It's pretty sad, honestly, on how someone would die like that. I mean, being burned alive is... I saw some of the pictures, and I'm sure that a lot of people have saw the video and the pictures on X, and it's pretty gruesome. And I feel kind of bad about it. Just no one should die like that. It's horrific. Help support the work. Help support the channel. Help support your health. All right. Next year, in 2025, my goal is to release an app for my viewers where they can access my content, get live streams through it, be able to purchase products, be able to download PDFs of certain types of research that's on my website. So it gives you the functionality of the website, but in an app form. So that's one of my goals for the year in 2025. Help support the work by getting the products that I use to improve your health, improve your immune system, slow down the aging process, improve longevity and vitality. Since we're in the cold season, it is important to have certain types of products in standby for your household. One of those products are the structural nanosilver drops that I have. I have it in 3 different flavors. I have it in blueberry drops in 100 count, cherry in 100 count, and also honey and lemon. They're made from structural nanosilver. And you use them during the cold season, or let's say during the allergy season, and the moment you get that irritation, that throat irritation, start taking the drops. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna neutralize that irritant, and you're going to improve the mucosal barrier in your oropharynx to be able to mitigate further problems. All right, take it right away. Right, the moment you have that irritation, take it right away, and use these drops to weather that irritant storm that you're going through. All right, these are very high quality. Get a couple bags for your household. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. I have it in honey and lemon, cherry, and blueberry. Very high quality. Another great supplement to take, right, for your neurons and for your cellular metabolism and for energy is the vitamin B complex. This complex has many different B vitamins. The first few B vitamins are for your mitochondria to help with the electron transport chain, so you have more ATP. So that means you have more energy. Other B vitamins help with cellular metabolism. And some B vitamins will help with neural health. Now, when we get older, it's really important to maintain neural health. And you maintain neural health through a few ways. 1, better sleep. Get the Goodnight formula. 2, better supplementation, making sure you get B vitamins and take supplements that are neuroprotective, like ubiquinol and NAD+. And do certain types of exercises. You want to do a little bit of resistance training because you want to activate those muscles that are connected to certain types of neurons to activate those neurons, right? And you want to balance. You want to keep that cerebellum active. Because if you activate your cerebellum on a regular basis, you're going to reduce the gait issues that you may start having when you go into your geriatric years, right? If you look at people that are elderly, they have gait problems, they have walking problems, they have balancing problems. But you can mitigate that by boosting up your energy, protecting those neurons, and activating those neurons through regular exercise and movement. And then the cognitive part of the neuron health is not only taking the supplements, like the vitamin B complex, but also challenge your mind. You need to read, write, and talk to people in the real world. And good mindfulness, either spirituality or meditation. And when you do these things on a regular basis, you are activating those neurons and you are keeping those connections, those neural network connections, active and improving those neural network connections because of neuroplasticity. If you just atrophy and you're not challenging your mind, then what happens is the neurons just slowly kind of wither away, and then there's less activity, and your memory goes down, your movement goes down, you have gait issues, and you have neural decay, neurological decay. So you can mitigate this. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, get the vitamin B complex, also some of the other vitamins that and supplements that I offer, and I'll be talking about throughout the video. But it's really important. Neuroprotection is very important when you're 40 plus years old. And exercise. Do a little bit of resistance training, cardiovascular training, and balancing and stretching. Really important to activate those neurons. All right, let's go to NBC. This was 17 hours ago.
A woman on fire on a New York City subway is facing murder and arson charges. That's as we learn new details about the suspect in custody. That's him right there, leaving court just in the last hour or so. This video just in. ICE saying in a statement the man is a Guatemalan citizen who appears to have entered the country illegally for a second time. And police say a woman sleeping on the F train, back to the crime here, was brutally murdered by that suspect. Graphic video capturing the moment it happened. We're going to show it to you, but we want to warn you. It can give you a chance to turn away if you don't want to see it. We have blurred the body of the victim. Here's that video here. You can see a man that appears to be sitting on the bench watching as the victim was engulfed in flames. NBC's Julia Ainsley has more on this.
That's right, Maggie. We're learning more details about this suspect and that horrendous crime on the New York City subway. ICE today, that's Immigration and Customs Enforcement, saying the suspect in this case is a 33-year-old Guatemalan man by the name of Sebastian Zapata, who they say entered the country illegally and was removed by ICE in 2018, but that at some point in time, he crossed back into the country illegally in violation of that deportation order. It's not clear where else he's been in the United States. The New York Police Department says they also don't believe that there was a connection between the suspect and the victim, and that it's not clear that he so much as talked to the victim. The NYPD said that they had a pretty clear description of him. They were able to see him so well because of the surveillance videos that were around the F train at the time, which shows him just right outside of the train watching this horrendous crime take place, and that the police were able to come down. But it was before it was too late for this woman because they smelled smoke. So in the meantime, ICE has issued a detainer to the NYPD so that whenever this suspect is finished with his time in the process, even if that's after a sentencing for homicide and arson, they could then take custody of him and deport him. So more details as we learn at Maggie about this suspect and this horrendous crime.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow it.
All right, so this is CBS News Texas.
What's up?
Hi, Jera. We brought you here today to let you know that we made this.
So in New York City, police there with a suspect in custody now.
A man accused of setting a woman on fire and watching her burn to death. This happened on a subway train in Queens. We need to warn you folks, some of the details disturbing. Michael George is in New York.
There is no room in civilized society for people like him to be walking around.
Officials in New York credited good police work and tips from the public with the capture of a man accused of a brutal killing. Police say as a subway approached its last stop in Brooklyn yesterday morning, the suspect walked up to a woman who appeared to be sleeping, took out a lighter, and ignited her clothing, engulfing her in flames. He sat nearby on the platform and watched her burn to death as the train sat idle. Police quickly responded as the man, unbeknownst to them, briefly sat there, but it was too late to save her. Police later released these images of the suspect, and hours later, 3 high school-age students called 911, reporting that they saw the suspect on a different subway, leading to his capture. Police say the man, seen in this picture obtained by the New York Post, arrived from Guatemala in 2018, and that they have no reason to believe the suspect and victim knew each other. The incident comes during the city's increased focus on ensuring riders' safety on subways during the holidays. Governor Kathy Hochul sent 250 more National Guard members into the subways last week, ahead of what's a traditionally high tourism period. And police say cameras have been installed in every subway car, and credit that with helping them make their arrest.
I want you to know that this apprehension was another in what has become a series of joint efforts involving different crimes between the police and the public we serve.
I'm Michael George.
All right, so we're gonna go to Fox now.
You might ask yourself, well, why do I have to negotiate? The alternatives are to use force on others or just to comply.
We begin in Syria, where the overthrow of Bashar al-Assad has left the shape of the future.
So in New York City, police there with a suspect in custody now.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. The time 7:46 on the East Coast, and it is 4:46 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here to bring you all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. An undocumented immigrant from Guatemala has been charged in the death of a woman who was set on fire on a Brooklyn subway. Cops say the 33-year-old migrant told officers that he was drunk at the time and does not remember doing it. Brayla Tomasetti with our Fox 5 New York station is live for us over in downtown Brooklyn. She has been following this story from the get-go and joins us now with the latest. Good morning, Brayla.
Yeah, good morning to you, Josh. Now, 33-year-old Sebastian Zapeta is that suspect's name. He could be arraigned here at Brooklyn Criminal Court as early as this morning, and police say he was actually evaluated for mental health at a local hospital last night. Eventually, they say he will be transferred to federal custody where he could face deportation. Zapeta was escorted out of the NYPD 60th precinct yesterday in a white Tyvek suit and handcuffs. He has been charged with first and second degree murder plus arson after allegedly setting a woman on fire aboard a Brooklyn F train over the weekend and then watching her burn. According to a spokesperson for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, Zapeta is an undocumented immigrant from Guatemala. Officials say he first entered the country illegally back in 2018. He was spotted by Border Patrol agents in Arizona and deported back to Guatemala. But
so let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. When Trump says that they're sending their criminals and their insane asylum patients, maybe Trump's right. Maybe Trump's right. Watching the video of that woman standing there, burning to death, and can you imagine the horror that she was in? Can you imagine the initial pain that she was in? Because eventually, my understanding how burn victims work is it's very painful at the beginning, and then once it gets deeper into the tissue, it burns the neurons, the neural connections so bad that you don't even feel pain after that. But the point here is that, you know, you're burning, you're alive, but you're burning away and you're going to die. Can you imagine Now, the story that I heard, or the story that was published recently, is that she is a white female, 22 years old, and was going to visit her grandmother for the holidays. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but the thing is this person didn't do anything wrong. And the problem that we have in society is not just the illegal immigration in New York. The problem is the overall lack of consideration of life. Of life. And I'll tell you, you know what? It seems to be a bad omen for society to see someone burn alive with no one helping them, or very little help. And it's right near the end of the year and during the holidays. There was no compassion. There was no regard for life. Don't be surprised that bad things are going to happen to society. Don't be surprised that a curse will come down because of what we just saw. No person, no matter who they are, should have to burn to death. And then to add insult to injury, very few people were helping, and whatever little help they did provide was very minimal. I am actually surprised in how the NYPD didn't, help. They just kind of walked by. I'm a little surprised at that. I don't know if that's protocol or what, but I was surprised at that. You know, maybe they were waiting for the FDNY. I don't know, but it was horrific what happened to that person. But the thing is, the bigger issue is the lack of regard for life. And this is an ultra-liberal issue. The ultra-liberal doesn't care. The ultra-liberal hates humans. The ultra-liberal wants to save the planet and destroy mankind. The ultra-liberal wants to kill babies in the womb, late-term abortions. The ultra-liberal wants to chop off genitalia and do gender reassignment and create gender dysphoria. The ultra-liberal is out of control. This immorality, this lack of regard for life, has now manifested in watching people burn alive on a train in New York City. This shit is more like something in DC Comics than something in that should be on the news, the nightly news. This is horrific what happened. It should not happen. And then another side story to this is you have a lot of crime on the subway because of lack of regard of law. There's a lawlessness that's taking place, a lack of regard for life. This goes back to what I was saying many videos ago, and that is to strengthen the country, to move forward and to be a better society and to be a better person, you need to have three cords of strength, and that is God, country, and family. You have to strengthen your strength with God, strengthen your attachment to country, to be patriotic, and also strengthen yourself with the cornerstone of society, and that is the family unit. When you don't have those things, when you don't have God, country, and family in your ethos, then you see things like this. People are stealing, people are killing, people are burning people alive on the train, people aren't helping. This is a sickness. And the only way to get out of this sickness is it's about God, country, and family. I'm not wrong on this. I am not wrong on this. You know, and I would not be surprised that because of what we just saw, that we are gonna have a tumult, we're gonna see a little bit of a curse in 2025. Because, you know what? The bystanders not helping that woman as she was burning alive, I just think is horrific. Just absolutely horrific. It's just totally fucking wrong. Just totally fucking wrong. So there's many aspects to this. The guy shouldn't be here because he's an illegal. But you have ultra liberals trying to, pave the way for the illegal immigrant. You have the DA in New York not willing to prosecute, but demonize other people like Daniel Penny. You know why? Because he was a Marine and he was white and he was a male. Can you imagine what would have happened in New York City if that woman was a black woman, burned alive? BLM would be all over the news. But it's just a white woman, white 22-year-old, educated, and they don't care. That's a sad situation. We're gonna see in 2025 more racial divide between the blacks and the whites. Mark my words on this. It's coming. It's coming.
Snuck back into the U.S. His last known address is a men's shelter here in Brooklyn. According to the NYPD, to backtrack, Zapata calmly walked up to a woman who was seated on the train Sunday morning after it stopped at the end of the line in Coney Island. He then set her on fire with his lighter, got off the train, and watched the horror unfold from a nearby bench. Just absolutely awful. The victim, who has yet to be ID'd by police, died at the scene from her injuries. Responding officers captured images of Zapata on their body cameras. Hours later, he was taken into custody on another F train at the Herald Square station after 3 teenagers recognized his photos and called 911. Police thanked them in part for his quick arrest. Brooklyn DA Eric Gonzalez said in a statement, this gruesome and senseless act of violence against a vulnerable woman will be met with the most serious consequences. And back out here live again, Zapata could be arraigned as early as this morning. Also, according to the New York Post, he received a transit summons in May of last year, but other than that, the paper reports his record, at least here in New York City, was clean. For now, we're live here in downtown Brooklyn. Josh, we'll send it back to you.
Still a horrifying story and a lot left to figure out. Briella Tomasetti there with our Fox 5 New York station. Thank you so much, as always, for being here with us.
Thank you.
And I do want to take you out to some breaking news that we are following at this hour. Take a live look from one of our many cameras that we have over in Indianapolis. This is from our Fox affiliate there. They say crews with the Indianapolis Fire Department are currently working a building fire, and this is right near downtown. You can see the smoke rising there in the distance. The department called to the building near the intersection of East Walnut Street and North Pennsylvania Street, if you are familiar with that area. It was just after 5:30 a.m. local time there, and the address is for the Sanctuary on Penn. That is an old church that now serves as a wedding venue. Again, this is right near downtown Indianapolis. You can see just how many crews are on the scene and how far back our Fox Indy team is being pushed there, but they are zoomed in.
I'm going to go to Fox News, them talking about the subway fire incident. But before I do that, I do have a request on X for someone to come on. But before I bring them on, I want to play the video and just plug a couple products. So just be patient, please. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and help support my work and help support your health. I have great products, very high quality products that I use on a regular basis, and some of the products that I have that would be great for your household are the structural nano silver soaps. Very high quality. You can get it in peppermint. You can also get it in oatmeal spice or in charcoal tea tree. So please go to my store, get a couple bars for your household. High quality, no chemicals in it, way better than some of the other stuff that you get at the store. So please go to my store, help support my work, help support your health. It's made from structural nanosilver, and you know what that does. It helps neutralize pathogens. So please, help support the work. Get a couple bars for your household, and maybe even for the holidays. Proper gut biome is really important for your health. If you are like brand new to trying to get healthy, the very first thing you should do is filter your water. The second most important thing that you should do is improve your gut. You can do that by getting the probiotics that I have. I have it in a powdered form, which is the one that I prefer to use. I mix it with hummus during my lunch. And you can get it in a veggie cap form. Both are very high quality, great for the gut biome. And what this does, this probiotic does, is that it allows to bring down inflammation in the gut, properly get the gut with the right probiotics that you need, so your metabolism is better. The communication between your gut and your liver is going to be better. That means your liver is going to be able to detox better. In addition, the gut and the brain communicate. Some depression is based on gut biome health. Mental acuity is related to gut biome health. So if you improve your gut, you're improving your mental acuity, and you're reducing the chances of depression. So, you know what? Go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, get the probiotic, bring down the inflammation, improve your metabolism, improve the health of your body, and not only that, your skin will improve, your nails will improve, your hair will improve. There are manifestations of things on your skin due to poor gut health, all right? But you can improve that by taking probiotics, eating properly, filtering your water. I use zero water to filter the water from New York because New York water sucks. Another great supplement to take, when we get older, our pancreases don't work as well, all right? And the medical establishment doesn't have really good means of tracking pancreatic cancer until it's too late, all right? And if you constantly have an inflamed pancreas or an overworked pancreas, you're increasing the chances of pancreatic cancer, all right? You want to calm that down, right? Now, when people get older, they increase the chances of pancreatic problems, pancreatitis, or, and there's different reasons why people get pancreatitis, all right? Some of it's because of blockage, with gallstones. Some of it is because of autoimmune disorder. Some of it is because of a ulcer that you have that starts to leak onto the pancreas. All right? So you have an ulcer in your stomach, it perforates, you get gastric juices onto the actual pancreas, and it's causing a huge problem, all right? So there's lots of reasons why people get pancreatitis. But the thing is that as you get older, even if you don't have these problems, just the endocrine system and your exocrine system doesn't work as well. So your pancreas isn't secreting the enzymes it needs to digest proteins, carbohydrates, and lipids. The pancreas secretes these enzymes, all right? But when you get older, your pancreas doesn't work as well, all right? And if you don't have a good pancreas, you're gonna die, for sure, 100%. So you need to lower the load on your pancreas when you get older. A great way to lower the load on your pancreas when you eat is to take digestive enzyme complex. Why? Because it helps to break down carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. And when you do that, you're going to be able to absorb those nutrients. You're reducing the load on your pancreas. If you're younger and you're working out, great, but you need to fuel your body. And to be able to feel your body for recovery, to help with that, is because you're eating stuff, right? To help break some of that stuff that you're eating to fuel your body during your workout, or pre-workout or even post-workout, take the digestive enzyme complex. And that way you recover better, and you're being able to absorb those nutrients. So I've explained many different reasons on how to kind of bring down the stress on your body, and to build up those energy levels. Really important. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, get the digestive enzyme complex. All right, really important. Okay, so let me just transition, before I take the question from X, I want to transition to Fox News here, and then I'll take the question here.
Calls may be cut. Fox and Friends starts now.
And we begin with a Fox News alert. A man is arrested after allegedly setting fire to a sleeping subway passenger in New York City, killing the innocent women. And sources tell us the suspect is in the country illegally.
Madeline Rivera joins us now with the details on this horrible story. Maddie?
Yeah, the details are certainly disturbing, guys. We do want to warn viewers, the video you're about to watch is graphic. This happened Sunday morning. The NYPD says a person of interest whom they now have in custody and the victim are both riding the F subway train bound for Stillway Avenue in Brooklyn. As the train pulled into the station, the suspect walked up to the victim and lit her on fire. Flames quickly overcame the woman, and in one of the most chilling perhaps of this incident, police say the suspect did not leave. Instead, he sat on a bench on the platform just outside the train car. Video appears to show the suspect watching the victim burn. Because he did not leave, the police officers, through their body cameras, were able to get images of the suspect. They distributed those, and the NYPD says 3 high schoolers recognized the suspect. Sources tell Fox News Digital the suspect is 33-year-old Sebastian Zapata. While police did not identify the person of interest, a high-level NYPD source told Fox News Digital the individual entered the U.S. illegally from Guatemala in 2018 when President-elect Trump was president during his first term. The person of interest has no prior arrests in New York City and 1 prior arrest in Arizona, the source said, though details about the arrest were not available. At this hour, I am pleased to announce that a short time ago, alert NYPD transit officers took a person of interest into custody. I want you to know that this apprehension was another in what has become a series of joint efforts involving different crimes between the police and the public we serve. So now this is the post that New York Governor Kathy Hochul is being criticized for. She said on X, "In March, I took action to make our subway safer for the millions of people who take the trains each day. Since deploying the National Guard of New York to support the NYPD and the MTA safety efforts and adding cameras to all subway cars, crime is going down and ridership is going up." New York Democratic Congressman Richie Torres called her post tone deaf. Guy, Carly, and Rob.
I'm telling you, I use the MTA all the time. Crime is up, not down. That's horseshit. Now, what may be reported is less, but what is going on the trains, I mean, I'll tell you, it's not just the crime, it's also just the lack of regard of just decency. There's a lack of regard to, of property, of life, definitely with, what happened with the burning of the woman. But also, you have these writers, typically black, homeless, that are literally defecating onto the floor of the train car, or urinating. Sometimes they urinate in the car while it's running, and sometimes what they do is in between the cars, there's a little bit of a walkway between the cars outside, right? That's chained, and then they'll urinate, while the train's running. I mean, this is like Batman shit type stuff, right? This is Gotham. Why is this happening? There's a lack of morality. Mankind is devolving. Now, I just, it's sad. I just, it's crazy. Let me just continue here before I take the call here.
Maddie, thanks so much. Tone deaf, yeah, to say the least. I mean, you're sitting there touting the safety of the subways, and this is hours after someone was lit up on live because she nodded off on a subway train. Can you imagine? Is there a more horrific way to die?
It's almost too horrible to fathom or even discuss. And unfortunately, we're put in this position because of allegedly what that man that you see on your screen did. And to make matters worse, this surveillance video appears to show that the suspect sat on a bench and watched this woman burn to death as police were already starting to respond to the scene. He stayed at the scene of the crime. And going back to Kathy Hochul's tweet and her touting that the subway system has become safer under her leadership, it wasn't only this that happened. Yesterday on a Queens subway, 2 people were stabbed and a 37-year-old died.
Yeah, so 2 killings in the subways, and you can say this is, bad timing for Governor Hochul to have put out this self-congratulatory tweet.
It's not bad timing. The crime is up. It's not down. What is reported may be down. But this is the problem with these high-density liberal towns, the cities. They're trying to create a stat where they're saying, oh, crime's down. But it's not that crime's down. It's what is reported that's down. All right? And that's a key distinction. Crime is up. I'm telling you, crime is up in New York. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Now, not all of it is illegal immigrants, but I'll tell you what, most of the crime are from minorities. Most of the crime. Most of the crime isn't whites.
On subway safety, yes, it's bad timing. It's also bad policy. That's why we're getting this problem. And it's been an issue now for years. I think Hochul very belatedly is catching up to the political reality, but the mess has already been made, and it's going to take a long time and quite possibly completely new leadership to change anything, because the current constellation of New York leadership has been a disgrace on this issue. We're just learning a few things about this suspect, including that he's in the country illegally, allegedly from Guatemala, with a criminal record in another state. It would make sense for someone like that to come to New York, a sanctuary jurisdiction, where he could just hang out until he decides to burn someone to death.
So, Guy, my sense is they're going to find out this guy's got much more of a criminal history. I don't think you indiscriminately burn somebody alive and think to yourself, I've never done anything like this before.
You don't jump to that.
Yeah, that's my sense. But the other thing to keep in mind, too, is the cover of the New York Post. I'm watching local coverage just to see on local coverage. They never bring up his legal status. They say a New York. Okay, it's a main part of the story. We know people commit crimes, but when illegal immigrants come here, many as criminals, to commit more crimes, you say to yourself, if the government does its job, we would not be in this type of danger.
Well, if the government did their job and kept the borders safe and non-porous, we wouldn't have illegal immigration, and we wouldn't have to have sanctuary cities, and we wouldn't be spending tons of taxpayer dollars, and we wouldn't have illegal immigrant crime going on in New York. But it's a bigger problem, and that is a lack of regard for morality, which is, it's much bigger than just a porous border, all right? It's way bigger. This idea of God, country, and family eroding in the ethos of Americana is happening. It's happening in New York. And it's typically perpetuated by ultra-liberal policies. And that's why I keep on saying that the ultra-lib we need to push back on them. Because if you don't, if you're just quiet, if you're conservative and you just want to mind your own business, right? They're going to just keep on encroaching and breaking the system until there's nothing left. New York is a shithole now. It's literally Batman. It's literally Gotham. All right, I'm going to take a request from X. Just a reminder for the ones that are watching the live stream on YouTube and Rumble, I have X spaces that you can do a call in to, tell me your opinion about what's going on. And it's a great way to interact. These shows aren't just me talking. I want the audience to interact. It's very important, especially when there's breaking news. Now, obviously the holidays, it's usually a slow news cycle, but but it's important to interact. So please, make sure you listen on X. You can do a call in, just raise, your hand or, do the request for the mic, and, I'll get to you on that. So let me go to the request here. Hello? You're on. Hello? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Maybe there's a problem on my phone. Hello? So people can hear me, but I can't hear them. I don't know why that is. Hello? Well, I can't hear you for some reason. Okay, so because there's a little bit of a technical difficulty, maybe we'll work that out. I'll continue playing the video, and then the person that is on, just chime in when you can.
This all plays into the bigger picture of why you need massive deportation and begins with criminals.
Yeah, no, that's right. And Eric Adams, and he recognizes that. And that's why he sat down and spoke to Tom Homan and says, you got to get the criminal migrants out of the city. But his hands are tied because not only is New York City a sanctuary city, it's also in a sanctuary state, which goes to the point of Kathy Hochul and policy change that she needs to take leadership under. I mentioned Tom Homan because yesterday he was in Arizona and he introduced Donald Trump, who was speaking at America Fest. And Donald Trump laid out his day one priorities, and you better believe the border control and getting criminal illegal immigrants out of this country is among them.
On my first day back in the Oval Office, I will sign a historic slate of executive orders to close our border to illegal aliens and stop the invasion of our country. And on that same day, we will begin the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than that of President Dwight D. Eisenhower. The DEA, the FBI, the intelligence community, and financial sanctions to remove the migrant gangs and criminals that are killing and raping and maiming our citizens. We're going to get them out. We're going to get them out. We're going to get them out fast. We have no choice.
So he's going to get him out. That isn't a big surprise. The way we're doing, knowing it's just weeks away, people should be ready for it. And I thought one thing the president did yesterday, he did a lot. I thought the speech was fantastic. Number one, he's got a real sense of history. He's always bringing up Eisenhower. He's bringing up McKinley yesterday. And he's bringing because Eisenhower did it. And he also knows that Eisenhower is considered.
I gave the speaker to the mic to the one that requested on X. So if you can
Yeah, Paul, I'm good.
All right. Okay, now I can hear you. All right. There was for some reason there was an issue.
Yeah, no worries. First of all, I watched the video of the woman being burned on. You would think that they have a fire extinguisher on the train.
I thought that they had a fire extinguisher in the different, the cabins for the in between, not the actual passenger part of the cabin, but the actual conductor part of the cabin.
Well, they've got to have it because what if separate? So obviously it was so strange to see. Let me just fix something.
I don't remember seeing a fire extinguisher in the passenger part of the cabin.
Yeah, I get that. And you'd imagine that there'd be a fire extinguisher also on the station because what if there, so at least one, and it's almost like, and the lady is standing up. So it's not like she's a burnt crisp laying on the ground and it's over with. She had a chance of still surviving. And the guy is just treating her as just walking by and just saying, screw it. Very strange.
It is very strange. Did you look at the number of the train car?
No.
It's 9502. And if you add it, it's 16. And 16 is a important number in terms of God and God forgiving and God helping.
Interesting. I don't know if you saw that there was a short video, maybe it's the illegal himself recording. I think it's he himself recording himself. And you could see he's drunk.
Mm.
And he's talking on the video saying, I don't bother people. Why are people bothering me? But supposedly he recorded that before he lit her on fire. I don't know. But yeah, but it just reminds me of the Daniel Penny thing. It's like, if you prosecute the good people, what are they going to do?
There's a term for this, and it's the Daniel Penny effect. It's what they call the Daniel Penny effect, where good Samaritans are now worried that they're going to be prosecuted, and that is exactly. And I heard this from the mouth of Alan Bragg, all right, because I was at an event that he spoke at.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want vigilante justice, so he was going after people that felt as though they were taking the law into their own hands.
And the problem with that is, okay, so you don't want vigilante justice, then you want police justice. Well, then the police don't do anything.
Well,
they're screwed.
Exactly. I mean, the reality of the situation is that, if you are in need of help, let's say your life is in danger, because of a criminal or whatever, the police they don't have to respond. And again, even if you're having a heart attack,
Legally, they don't.
Huh?
By law, they don't have to respond.
Right. They don't have to. It's willy-nilly. It's like, if it's safe for them, if it's convenient, if it's whatever. But if you happen to park your car for 5 minutes in the wrong area, you'll have a ticket.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I was working at a restaurant during a riot in a small college community, and some kid came in, for an outsider of the community, and he just grabbed he stuck his hand behind the counter, grabbed the whole hand thing of meat, and just was walking out the restaurant, and of salami or something, but if you call the police during the riot, they're busy dealing with the riot. They don't have time to deal with that, and they weren't there to help us. You know what I mean? When I called, they were too busy.
My uncle, just to add to your story, my uncle back in the 70s. All right, I had two uncles, both had passed away already, but one uncle owned a hardware store, and the other uncle worked at the hardware store. Now, the younger uncle that was working at the hardware store, he used to be a football player, so he was a pretty big guy, right? Mm-hmm. And because it was in Detroit, it was always being held up. So my uncle, was there at the store, was being held up, and he literally, took the law out of, into his own hands and basically, chased the guy with a baseball bat. But the point here is that if you don't push back as a business owner, then these criminals will continue on trying to steal from your store. You have to push back because the police don't do anything about it. They may write the guy up, or they'll do a report, and they don't catch the guy or whatever. And it's just, you have to push back. And so there's a lawlessness that's taking place in New York now. It's getting really bad. It's getting to the point where I would say that it's almost pre-Giuliani days.
Yeah, and in the incident that happened, I dealt with the guy, on a personal level. Meaning, I don't want to say too much, but I handled the guy.
Yeah.
And he was a big guy, but a lot of people had their phones out, and I was worried. Oh shit, this is gonna end up on the air.
Well, here's the problem: is that people will film, but they won't get involved and try to stop it from happening. So everything's it's like this social media voyeurism that's taking place, and you even saw that with the woman burning alive. They didn't help. They wanted to live stream it on X more than they wanted to help the woman from burning up.
Paul, as you said, this is a really bad omen, I think, for what's coming. Really bad. Because I think multiple things will and can happen and are coming up quick. So one thing is the reluctance of people to get involved. The second thing, and that's going to increase, the second thing is people are going to get fed up. And I think even in New York, I don't think this is going to last, because I think there's going to be a point where even the liberals, I don't think they're going to let this last, because it's going to continue getting worse. And at some point, they're just going to say, you know, a lot of them are going to just get fed up with it. And then, but anyway, back to the situation. You know, I thought, okay, and I was like, okay, it was a homeless woman sleeping on the train. She was probably like surrounded with blankets. He lit the blanket on fire.
That's what I thought too. At first, that's what I thought, yeah.
It would be crazy if it was actually literally like a young girl who literally was a totally normal person. That would be,
I mean, she's white. She was 22 years old. I don't remember her name. And she supposedly was going to see her grandmother for the holidays. And she was working on her Ph.D. She was working on her Ph.D. from UPenn.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That is crazy. That is so crazy. Paul, can we go back to the drone thing first, or do you want to keep on topic?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I want to talk about, I saw you had posted that if that nuclear material really is missing, like we're headed like kind of towards another 9/11. What people don't realize is, and let's just say those drones are in fact, they were looking for, you know, nuclear material. If what people don't realize is, if you take, all you have to do is take like nuclear material and stuff it in an IED, and then when it blows up, it scatters the nuclear material. It doesn't have to be a nuclear bomb. It's just like medical. It could be from medical machines that have nuclear, that use some sort of nuclear. It could be from.
So it would do two things. It would cause panic in the area.
Yeah.
It would do explosive damage just from the explosion. So there would be building damage. But then you have the radioactive part that can be cleaned up. A dirty bomb is not that bad in terms of radioactivity. But the thing is that, let's say you're in New York and you have property, all right, and it just so happens on your corner the dirty bomb goes off.
Yeah.
You know what? Every single unit, on the four corners, of the street, have just literally gone to zero in cost.
And
like zero. I mean, so you have $1 million. Let's say you have a multi-million-dollar condo, and it literally went to zero in a flash.
And like you said, the fear factor itself. If a dirty bomb went off in New York City, the whole New York City's leaving because they're like, we don't trust the government.
And then what will happen is because Trump wants to restructure the national security state. What's going to happen is the national security state are going to demand for more emergency powers to be able to find these lone wolves.
And more.
And so it's all 9/11 all over again.
Yeah, and worse. And this former CIA targeting officer named Sarah Adams. So targeting officer within the CIA, you have the analysis branch, you have like sort of the logistics branch, support branch. And then you have like the operations branch, which is like the spies. But within the operations branch, you have a group of people called targeters, targeting officers. And what they do is they work with the spies basically to figure out, okay, who from China should we target? In other words, who should from China, which terrorist should we like? We know that they're going to be in this Starbucks at this time and this day, and we'll go there and we'll act as if we're buying a drink, and then we'll strike up a conversation with them. So this is what they do. Now, so the targeting officer, they're the ones that chart out who the people are and figure out all the details on the people. So that's who she was. She was very involved with, like, after Benghazi and everything, and she did a report on, because the government claimed, Benghazi was due to this supposed video against Islam. It was all a lie. But the point of what I'm saying is she's been very involved with tracking terrorists since they pulled out of Afghanistan, since America pulled out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And I brought this up with you before, but she was recently again on the Sean Ryan show, and she said that Russia, first of all, that there's already 1,000 sort of Al-Qaeda terrorists within the United States, over 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, she said, and she's getting her information from, spies within Afghanistan and who have been abandoned by America. But you have to imagine that all those special forces guys that America trained, the Afghanistan special forces, and a lot of those sort of spies for the CIA, those are still there in Afghanistan. A lot of those people are still there. So they're still able, and they speak the language, the cult, they know the culture, they're integrated. So they have the ability to know what's going on. The other thing she said is Russia has been helping get explosives into the United States for the upcoming terrorist attacks. Now,
Well, what's your take? This kind of dovetails into what you're saying.
Yeah.
What's your take on the news that was happening throughout 2024 about certain granaries and certain meat storage facilities being set on fire?
Oh yeah, I have absolutely some thoughts on that. I've been thinking for the longest time that those are absolute like kind of attacks by Russia and maybe China, but probably Russia against the United States for what they're doing in Ukraine.
I think so too. I think so too.
And I think a lot of those are just cyber. Maybe some of them are just cyber attacks where they're just, somehow messing with their computer systems and starting fires. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, because if you think about it, if Russia was to bomb the United States, what would they do? They would hit. If they were to start hitting us, they would, and they had airplanes and they were flying over. What would they hit? A lot of the targets that have been blowing up in weird ways over the past couple of years. Mm-hmm. Those are the targets you'd hit. Mm-hmm. So they're just doing it in a sly way.
Just destroying a building in a city isn't going to do much. But if you're hitting infrastructure, if you're hitting nodal points for food distribution, that affects more people.
Food distribution, and there was also like a lot of like industrial kind of stuff and places being hit, and I was on I've talked about this before, but I was on a call, or it was sort of a webinar where you could ask questions, and I asked there about, do you think that what's going on, we're seeing all this stuff, do you think that that's Russia? And the guy wouldn't respond. He said, I can't respond and talk about that. So it must be some kind of classified thing. But so if you add up what this targeter, the former CIA targeter, is saying, that you have 1,000 Al-Qaeda terrorists in the United States, over 1,000. You have, and by the way, there's also another 1,000 in Europe, if I remember correctly. And so there's three parts to this plan. One is they're going to do a bunch of attacks on embassies, like U.S. embassies, say, in Europe. Second attack is they're going to do a massive sort of just attack roaming through the city, through the European cities. And third attack, and I'm not saying it's going to be specifically in this order, but these are three layers of attacks that they have planned. And third is sort of roaming through the United States, like the Mumbai attack, where they took over big hotels and they were just killing people and all that stuff. So multi-day, attacks.
I think I lost your speaker here.
So back to.
All right, it's working.
Oh no, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it just cut off just for a second.
There was an incoming call, so it took it off. Anyway, so So back to the point. So this targeter, if you add things up, so she's saying that there's over 1,000 terrorists, Al-Qaeda terrorists in the United States. Russia has been importing explosives for Al-Qaeda, and then helping them get the explosives into the United States. And then you have that missing nuclear stuff. You have everything in place to do a multi-city. Because people don't realize you could get nuclear material even from the smoke detectors. If you just buy enough smoke detectors, you take out, there's apparently this little radiological thing inside the nuclear.
Really? I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah. If you Google it, you'll see.
Right.
So if you have enough of those, you could do it. I think you could do a dirty bomb with that. So, so you have all and you know what? It's like they'll wait till Trump gets in, and then they'll just do it. It's just so. I don't know. That's concerning, and so. Let me see what else I got on my list. A couple of things I read. But anyway, anything you want to talk about regarding that, or regarding the train thing, the fire thing?
Well, I'm just, my when I saw the video last night about her, where she was standing and burning, I'll tell you, I had such a visceral reaction when I saw that. And the lack of regard of just humanity and of help and the compassion and then the other feelings of, just imagine if that was you and you're literally, just minutes away or seconds away of death, and the only thing that's going to be happening is you're just burning away, and the pain and just I was kind of wondering what was in her mind, during this process. Was it of fear? Was it of calm? Was it of, I don't know, but it's just horrific. I'll tell you, I think this was an inflection point for certain people to just say that enough is enough, and that the government needs to start doing things that are protecting the citizens instead of just playing lip service. I don't know. Do you remember when I called Governor Cuomo back in the day? Maybe not. All right. So, back in the day, in the early wave of New York,
you called them like a message.
I called them twice, and then I also called Schumer. I am thinking about calling Hochul's office and Adams' office after the holidays, record it, and say, what the hell is going on, and what are you doing to make sure this never happens again? Because what is happening is unacceptable, and this is Batman shit that needs to stop. And that if you can't get the job done, then you need to resign.
And it's so weird. It's like the same. It was a couple days. It was a day, or the same day, or the day before that Hochul makes the announcement. It's like, it's BS. Where she says, "Oh, the trains are safer."
The trains are not safe. I live here, and I'll tell you. I use it all the time, every day.
Yeah.
It's not safer. It is not safer. People are getting stabbed. People are pushed, and run over. There are some suicides, during the holiday season every year. That always happens. But the thing is the crime is out of control. And I'll tell you what, the town would be burning down if it was a black woman burnt alive by anybody, a legal immigrant or whoever, right? Yeah. So the spin in the media is somewhat skewed. I feel, and I think the government is kind of a little skewed on it. And I'm glad they captured him. And he will be, prosecuted, but there's just a bigger theme here, and it's just that people in general in society have a very low regard for life and property. I mean, it goes back to just biblical principles of just following the Noahide laws. I mean, this is not like really complicated stuff here, and just even the Noahide laws are not being followed.
But and then. Zooming out a bit even more, that thing with Luigi Mangione, the shooter of for people that don't know, the shooter of the CEO, the healthcare CEO. What's concerning is that, you know, there was all that, a lot of the liberals were rejoicing in his shooting and his death. And the concern is when Trump becomes president, you know, what if they start targeting some of Trump's, you know, cabinet, and it's just crazy.
Well, you know, there is a little bit of evidence to prove your point, because look at what happened when the ultra liberals were targeting the Chief Justice nominees, like Kavanaugh, right?
Well,
or what was going on right before they did the release for the overturn of Roe v. Wade. So,
and did you hear recently, not long ago, there was a bunch of like swatting against a bunch of Trump's nominees, there was a bunch of swatting.
Yeah.
And so you could almost see it building up. Yeah. And the Mangione thing, you know, it's like, and then I don't know if you heard, but there's this guy, he's sort of people call him like a white supremacist or a racist or whatever, but still, he sort of had a Mangione type go to his house and almost kill him. And you heard of this guy, Nick Fuentes?
No.
But anyway, it doesn't matter. But the point is Nick Fuentes, he's an easy guy to go after because, quote, he's a racist, he's a white supremacist. But they're not going to, if this continues, they're not going to stop at him.
No.
They're going to go after MAGA people.
This is exactly what was going on during Mao's time.
Yeah.
You know, where he was establishing the CCP, the Communist Party of China. I mean, it was basically change the culture, kill off the intelligentsia, destroy the history, convince the young to follow a new leader, and then you have complete control. I mean, the Democratic Party is playing right out of the red book from Mao.
And they have like deniability because it's hard to trace it back to any particular like group or person. It's just this diffuse kind of thing, quote, happening, you know, which is good for them because they're just like, oh, we're not, we condemn it, when they. I mean, there was a famous, I think she's a former Washington Post, tech writer, Taylor Lorenz. She was celebrating this guy on video. It's crazy. This Luigi guy.
You know, here's the thought that I have, and my perspective on it. The problem is that in society, we have powerful people that are either in corporate or in the political sphere that's not listening to the will of the people. And they are benefiting either through power and or money, through their decision making on not representing we the people. They're only representing a certain stakeholder, all right?
Yeah.
Only, in the case of the insurance CEO, he didn't care about, he was more aligned with the shareholders, not the other stakeholders in society, like the actual ones that need the insurance because of some sort of medical condition.
Yeah.
So at the 50,000 foot level, you have powerful people in different parts of society that's not listening to an important constituency. And that is what I call we the people, all right? So it's not surprising that people break mentally because of something that happens, and they get upset and they take the law into their own hands because the system isn't correcting the problem. The way it's supposed to work is insurance companies denying people that should be getting coverage, then the law should be on the side of we the people, not the side of the company trying to just fight it, in the court system and denying it to the point where they fight it long enough to the point that the person dies, the patient dies. So, right? So corporate America, especially insurance companies, are to blame. All right?
Yeah.
But but Luigi, should he have done it from a legal standpoint? No. Can you understand why he did it from a psychological point of view? Because of lack of regard from corporate America and our political sphere not paying attention to we the people that need the insurance? Yeah, I can understand why he did it. It doesn't mean that he should do it. But the thing is that I understand why. So I don't feel bad. I know that I sound kind of a little odd with this because I feel bad for the woman that was burnt alive and no one helped her. But I don't feel really that bad for the CEO getting blown away on New York City street. Because you know what? There's an awful lot of money being made in these insurance companies, and they're using now AI to make a decision on if someone should be covered or not. And they have lawyers in their they have corporate lawyers within the company that just find a way to keep on pushing it as far as you can and not to do the payment. And if the court says that we have to pay, then we will. But most likely, if it's a life-threatening thing, that person doesn't have the money nor the time left in their life to be able to fight in court. So who wins? The shareholder with United Health Care. So I understand why Luigi. There's a rage that's happening in America because we have a system that's not listening to the people. So what if the system isn't listening to the people and only listening to the well-heeled? Then what do the people do? They either capitulate or they rise up. And so once in a while you're going to see these cases. So the case of the woman being burned by a crazy illegal immigrant, that's different. But Luigi shooting a CEO that probably deserved getting shot. You know what? Because of denying it. I mean, think about it. If you're God, all right, and let's just imagine you're God. I know that's kind of hard, but let's just imagine you're God, and you're at the pearly gates, all right, and you have Luigi on one side, and you have the CEO from United Health, and then you ask the question, Luigi, who did you harm in your life? And let's say the only person, just to keep it simple, the only person that he ever harmed was, let's say, the CEO. All right, I'm sure he harmed more people than just the CEO, but let's just say, keep it simple. Luigi, how many people did you harm? One. Who was it? Well, it was the CEO from United Healthcare. Why did you do it? Because he was denying important medical care to individuals that were in need. Okay, now God goes to the CEO that got blown away by Luigi, and he goes, how many people did you harm? And he would go, well, I got to talk to my accountant and my lawyers because it's so many. It's millions or hundreds of thousands of people that were denied coverage that ended up going bankrupt or lost their life. Now from the perspective of the number of people harmed, who's more at fault, Luigi or the CEO? I would say on a metaphysical level, the CEO is going straight to hell.
Yeah. Here's the crazy thing is, it was Obama that brought I remember insurance before, like, I was on a PPO before, Obama brought in Obamacare. It wasn't bad, And it's just like after Obama brought his Obamacare, and it's just been horrible. And from what I understand is United Healthcare and these companies, just their stock shot up massively,
Well, the thing is that they're using legal tactics to pump up the stock price by denying people coverage, so it's reducing the outlays. And they're using artificial intelligence to do it. Now the thing is that's just wrong. It's just wrong. When someone needs some sort of health care, and the insurance needs to cover it, or they can't afford it, but they need it for a quality life or even just to live, and they're denied, that's just wrong. It's just wrong. Now, yes, there's some insurance fraud and stuff, and they need to fight that, and I'm for insurance companies denying coverage because of insurance fraud. But when someone is, let's say, getting cancer treatment, or has a chronic illness that they need certain types of medication to have somewhat of a quality of life, and they're denied, and they go bankrupt because of this. This is wrong. Well, this guy sits in $1 million house, and and they throw the emotional fallacy that, well, his children lost a father. What about all the people that went bankrupt because United Healthcare didn't honor their medical claim?
And I don't see the problem being solved soon either. It's not like, okay, the healthcare learned their lesson. What they're going to do is they're just going to put security on every CEO.
Well, here it is. Here's what's going on. Now you got barbarians at the gate because they're upset with the king, and the king now has to hire more knights. So what we're really seeing here in America is the buildup of an aristocracy.
Yeah, and I used to be in security and did some bodyguarding, I would call it. And in the beginning of the coronavirus, I forgot. Oh yeah, well that's what it was. It was the Black Lives Matter protest, and I said, okay, the security is going to go booming, because of the Black Lives Matter stuff. But it hasn't slowed down, and I say now it's going to be even built up more. Like every person in Congress, if this stuff builds up, like if more threats come to Congress people, every person in Congress is going to have a bodyguard, every CEO, and it's going to become much more.
What you're going to start seeing is the build out because of the disparity of income, and because people are going to have this certain people high up in society are going to have security. You're going to have Elysium. You're slowly seeing it happen, where there's the haves and the have-nots, the ones that are protected, the ones that are not, and there's this, and then you add in the whole robotic and AI technology, and now you have Elysium. And we're on the bad side, dude. We're on the bad side. We're not on the good side here on this. We're on the shit end of the stick.
Oh yeah.
What's happening? What's happening? Most of society's on the shit end of the stick. All right, and people need to wake up. People need to wake up and push back on this. The thing is as a shareholder of a certain company, I don't believe that they should be using corporate money to protect a CEO if the CEO is doing things that maybe the society is upset with. Maybe the answer isn't more security. Maybe the answer is actually understand what all the stakeholders, take in this is and actually judge accordingly. Just maximizing shareholder value is not the answer. That is not the answer. If a company is making billions and billions of dollars, why are they denying claims of people that are on for cancer treatment?
Yeah, and
I mean, maybe the law needs to be. Maybe the law needs to be where if you're an insurance company, you net out to zero. There is no profit. It's a utility. Highly regulated. Maybe that's the answer. That it shouldn't be a free for all because what happens is an incentive not to pay. Because the CEO, I would like to know what's his stock options. What was his stock options when he was denying people coverage? Because the stock price went up, he exercises his option, now he made a boatload of money on top of his annual salary because he denied granting. Now that's not right. That's just not right on any religious level.
Yeah, and it seems like Congress is saying, hey, all those rich people, they're all, it's like on at least on one part is the United States is being raided, and there's all on the one hand you could say it like that, and then and they're like, everybody's getting rich but us. They're like, let's up our salary by 40%.
It was 60. It was like 60. It went to like 178,000 to 248. I thought it was.
Yeah. And
I mean, think about that. A year. That's a year.
Yeah,
so a representative in Congress serves 2 years. So they are literally making $500,000 during their service in Congress.
And I think they get a pension, even if they served like only one.
That I don't know. I thought they had to serve 2 years to get the pension, but or 2 terms.
Oh, no, but I'm saying, I don't know how many terms, but I think it's pretty short.
And they get a Cadillac plan for their insurance. So you know what? no, these people, they should not be getting a raise. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They're making enough money as it is because they're making 3 times more than the national average. All right, right now. With the raise, it would have been 5 times. So why is that? Why? No.
Yeah.
And then you just erode the civil liberties of, write these omnibus bills that are just bloating out the national debt, causing, the forcing more taxation on the society, or just inflation, or inflation. So these people are. Why give a raise for someone for incompetence? You don't get in corporate America. If you're incompetent, you're going to get a raise.
And you know what? It's a good to have for them to have a foil like Trump. Whether Trump's on the good side or whatever, but the point is you put Trump in there when bad things are really going to happen because the people are sort of on Trump's side and there's hard to fight. As opposed to like if you had Biden in there when something bad is like if we go into war and you have Trump in there, then it'll be harder for the people to kind of push back. So, I don't know what's coming up these next 4 years, but I won't be surprised if very bad things happen. And I don't know.
I feel as though that there was an inflection point with that woman being burned, and that there's a bad omen coming.
Very bad. Mike Cernovich, he's this guy that back in like 2015, 2016, he was one of the people that really helped Trump get elected. He posted on Twitter X that because there's such good talent coming into the administration, it could only be because something bad is coming, and I don't disagree. And Paul, I was at the, it's called the AmFest conference this past weekend, and I got to talk with a bunch of Congress people and other people. If you're interested, I could tell you what it's like talking with these people as opposed to like what you see on TV. If you're interested in any of that. But I got to talk with Byron Donalds, Eli Crane, these are Congress people. Got to talk with Steve Bannon. Got to talk with Matt Gaetz. Got to talk with Nicole Shanahan. But anyway, would you like to hear anything about that stuff? Or
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, what's interesting is I realized at the conference that, we are so freaking gaslit. I'm telling you, we are so lied to. When you actually meet these people in person, they are just totally normal people, but they say things on TV and on media for a purpose. It's like they're selling a product, and it's like, so what you're seeing on TV from the politicians and the media is not what they really feel. This is what it looks like to me. They are kind of acting to sell their message. It's like
well, they're selling a message, but also sometimes they're selling their particular stake in a particular company or a particular bill. I've been complaining about Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz has aligned himself to make a lot of money in Bitcoin. A lot of money in Bitcoin. So he's gonna, and that's why he was shitting his pants when he may have lost. He almost lost the Senate race. And it was, it was the grace of the MAGA movement that helped him along to win that race. But the thing is that he doesn't give a damn about America. He cares about his position in Bitcoin.
Yeah. Now you know about the Freedom Caucus.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that? So there were 2 guys, there was a breakout meeting, and it was 2 state legislatures, like a state senator and a state representative in Arizona. And they had a breakout room with, a few hundred people in the room, and so apparently the Freedom Caucus is not only in DC, but it's moved out to a lot of states as well on the state level, state legislature level. And so these guys were out there and they were trying to sell to get everyone to help build up kind of their Freedom Caucus in their state. But when you heard them talk, so let me explain to you what it was like listening to them talk and then talking to them personally afterwards for a decent amount of time, because I talked to both of them separately afterwards. So when they're talking up there, they were selling it as if they're the good ones, and there's all these rhinos and there's state legislature, and there's all these like, you know, like whatever you want to call them, conservatives, or they're like, you know, they're like, you know, corporate Republicans and all this stuff. When they got off the stage, you know, a lot of people talked with them, and I waited my turn, and I got to talk with both of them for a decent amount of time, and I was like, remember I talked with you about like direct democracy or changing the Constitution or whatever. So I went to both of them and I was asking them about it. And that's when I realized they were literally selling a product on stage. Now, when you watch the speech on stage, it seemed like they were genuine. And they were like, there's all those bad Republicans. But when I actually got to talk to them in person, they were so freaking scared to push for like real good stuff. In other words, I realized they were talking about, they have this scorecard where there's like this conservative scorecard, and it says whether they voted conservatively or not. So it almost seemed like they were worried about whether they, quote, voted conservatively, and that's how that's what they were using to get reelected. But when I talked to them in person, they were afraid to actually, like, you know, like one of them said to me, oh, like tried to play the politician saying, oh, I don't know, I'd have to see the details on what you're talking about. In other words, I realized, like, okay, even Freedom Caucus it's Freedom Caucus Inc., Freedom Caucus Corporation, corporate. It's like, you know, they talk about corporate Republicans. Freedom Caucus is also corporate. These guys have a thing that they're, you know, that's their base to get reelected. In other words, they're not really there necessarily to like really improve society, improve, you know, the situation for the constituents. They're there to maybe to get reelected again, you know. So I saw that there with that, and then Bannon, when I talked to Steve Bannon, and I mentioned the idea to him, he started, this is Steve Bannon, he tells me, oh yeah, we need to get Trump reelected in 2028, so we need to change the Constitution so that he can.
First of all, it's such an idiotic idea. One, you know, not to change the Constitution just for your own political will. But the thing is that he'd be so old that I don't want Trump to be.
Exactly. But there's no way that Steve Bannon, my point is there was no way that Steve Bannon was actually really believed that. He was saying that because I think he's a propagandist. This is was the hard thing to see. Is that a lot of these guys, like, well, who was one of the people that I saw talking with Steve Bannon after his show or when he was hanging out? One of these UAV conspiracy theorists, you know? These guys that I think they work for the federal government. They're out there for years. This guy, I think his name is Stephen Greer. G-R-E.
Yeah, I know who he is.
I think he's worked for the federal government.
I think he's a side. I think he tries to convince the people that it's a side. I think that he is promoting alien intelligence that have contacted humans, and that he, you know, says that he is an insider, you know, trying to explain to powerful people in Congress that powerful cabals within the government, the deep state, are hiding stuff from them and all this stuff. You know, in reality, you know, I have bought one of his movies, his first movie on, I forgot the name, Unknown, I think it was called, or Unacknowledged, or something like that, I forgot, the first one. I think he's released 3 movies, maybe 4. So I've seen the first 2, but I bought I bought for my own ownership the first one. And, you know, it's interesting, but the thing is that you watch enough of him, and when he's on a podcast, he doesn't say anything new. Nothing new. Nothing new. It's the same crap the last 10 years. It's the same. And so when, you know, if you're supposedly, you know, in the know and there, you know, there's things happening, why are you constantly saying the same thing? So when you listen to him, he's always reverting back. You know, they're hiding things because the government doesn't want you to know about 0-point energy and all. It's the same crap every single podcast. So that to me was like, you know what? If you're new to him, he's really interesting. But then when you start to learn his script, then it's like, you know what? This guy's selling something. So I agree with you. I have reservations on what he's saying. Now, I do think that the government is developing technology that's, pretty advanced stuff that may look like ET, but it's not ET.
Actually, I want to get to that because I have a theory on that. It all came together for me recently. But when I saw Steve Bannon talking to this guy, like inside the rope line, like in other words, he was talking to him like as if he was a serious guy, not as if he was just meeting him. And I was just like, maybe Bannon is also part of this psyop, and it's like,
I have reservations on Bannon. There's a part of me that I like the idea that he's in a hunting jacket, and he's bombastic. I like the idea that he did serve in the military, and that he has, his daughter went through West Point, so he's a military family. I like that. I do feel as though what he is saying about, the powerful elite taking over the country, is happening, and that we, the people, need to fight back. I agree with that. Yeah. When Trump first came into office in 2017, because Bannon was a Harvard grad from the business school for his master's, there were Harvard graduates, the alumni were trying to kick him out of the Harvard community. So I was supporting Bannon because, you know what? Just because you don't like the president and his advisors doesn't mean that you should be petitioning the school to revoke their degree.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy stuff that's going on in these libtard schools. Yeah. So I was a little bit more of a supporter of Bannon, but the other side of the coin is that he focused too much on the CCP virus. I don't want to go too deep in this because because of the censorship. Well, you know what? There's a USA CCP collaboration, right? So he never played that. He never brought that up. It was always the bad Chinese, but never the bad U.S. That's a problem. And then, during the heyday of the coverage, what I was saying was far more accurate than anything that he was saying on his show. Way more, and much more detailed, what I was saying. So, so there was a little bit of a competition that was going on with the first wave. But with Bannon in general, he is hitting on a resonant point where the people are angry at the government, and they are trying to move that anger in a positive direction. And maybe Bannon, that's why he has such a large channel, is because there's an awful lot of people, we the people, that are angry at the establishment. And he represents that anger. He represents that anger. And I think it's, I could be totally wrong, but my gut feeling, knowing that he's a military guy, I'm willing to bet that anger deep down inside is real. It's not fake. I think his anger on the establishment is real. Now, he can benefit from that. He can harness that anger and make a coin. But the thing is, I think his anger towards the establishment is very real.
I also got to meet, so there's a new Congress, I'll just list you through the people I've met and my impression of them, just short impressions, if you'd like. But there's a new congressman from Arizona named Hamadeh, Abe Hamadeh. He was a nice guy, but it's like, you wait till, he just got elected, so wait till he gets voted in, till he gets, till he sees the beautiful marble and everything and changes. But and then I got to see Byron Donalds. He's a congressman from Florida. He was cordial. I got to, meaning I talked for like, a bit of time to each of these people, like 30 seconds. And then, or more. And then I got to talk. Here was one guy who was honest with me, Congressman Eli Crane, former Navy SEAL. He was the one guy who I talked to that whole weekend, who I was like, this guy's honest, you know? He's like, I don't think your idea's gonna work. I don't think it's gonna work. And then I ran into Matt Gaetz. He was cordial. I feel bad for Matt Gaetz because they ran him out because they're trying to say I think he had a party phase, I don't know if you heard about, that
Right.
he supposedly, and that.
But the question is, did he do it? Probably. But the thing is it any different than any other congressman? Probably not.
No.
I'm willing to bet that a big percentage of the congressmen act like Gaetz somehow, some way, with these orgies or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So I just, so it's like, most likely McCarthy was part of the party.
I saw a video, and it's like, right, and they just went after him because he was going after them, but I hope he comes back. I hope Matt Gaetz comes back because, he's...
I think that he played it wrong. He shouldn't have stepped down.
He shouldn't have stepped down.
He should have maintained his position and...
Should have kept fighting.
Yeah. I think that the establishment is tainting him in such a way that unless he really galvanizes the MAGA crowd in Florida, I think his career's over.
That was my concern is if you step back, then you won't make it go away. It made it get much worse. The fact that he kind of stepped back. If he had kept fighting, you look at those Democrats. One guy, he had freaking gold bars stuffed in his jacket, like sewn in his jacket. That guy kept fighting till the last day. So I think the Democrats know how to.
Wait, who was that? Was that which
Senator Menendez from New Jersey?
Gold bars.
He had freaking the evidence was too obvious.
Well, this is the problem. It's just like what's going on in D.C. and what's going on in New York. It's so like comic book-ish. I mean, it's really like this is what comic book writers would write, type stuff. I mean, it's like this is real, or at least it's assumed to be real. It makes you wonder. I mean, can it get any crazier? I don't remember it this crazy in the 70s or the 80s or even the 90s. I mean, the big thing with the 90s was what happened with Clinton, and that was relatively minor, compared to what's going on in Congress now. I mean, with, these, gay orgy parties and, I mean, it's just, and it literally sounds like some sort of mythology right out of Greece.
Well, I saw a funny tweet. I don't know if this is true, but they said that Grindr, which is like the gay Tinder app, that it was breaking at AmFest, like at the conference I was at. I went like, oh, I gotta tell you, I went to the party, to the party, James O'Keefe's party on Friday night. This was a little disappointing, very debaucherous, and it's
Really?
like, these conservatives claim that they're like, wholesome and blah. Man, it was end of Western civilization type debauchery.
Well, this is the problem. Is you got people out there. I think this kind of can be a tributary can build off of this what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Even with podcasters, all right, many of them, they're not real. They're not real.
That's what I saw at AmFest.
They're not real. They're like they have a podcast persona.
Yeah.
And it's scripted. They're pushing something, and then and they're trying to grow a channel and whatever. And they may be like a classic example is this. There are many podcasters that are like promoting health, or they're trying to promote a prepper type lifestyle where they're growing their own food and all this stuff. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, they're eating McDonald's, They're going to, the Burger King all the time. They don't have a garden, or if it's a garden, it's like, something very small. It's nothing major. They don't prep as much as they're saying they are, or they don't take care of their own health. Yet they're promoting health on their channel. So and so you can kind of tell over time who's like the fake ones and who's the real ones, right? A great way to tell who a real one is ones that are unscripted. All right.
Yeah.
Another one is that if they're promoting health, but yet over time, because a lot of these podcasters may be 5 to 10 years in with their show, you look over time and they're not looking healthy. A classic example is Alex Jones. Alex Jones is not a healthy person, but yet he has supplements that are supposed to promote your health. Well, what the hell is going on? And then he tells you that, the gay frogs and, and that, you got all this, GMO and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is the guy is aging really fast and he's out of shape and he just doesn't look good.
Overweight.
And he's just eating too much fried chicken, from Kentucky Fried. It's just too much fried chicken. He needs to, step aside from the BBQ. But but the thing is he's trying to promote health on his show because that's the main cash flow coming in to float his operation. But yet he doesn't even follow his own advice. So why people listen to someone that doesn't follow their own advice? So I get frustrated because I try to inform the public on what I do so they can get healthier. I'm telling people what I do, and it's I get so frustrated because I see like the Alex Jones out there, they have millions of followers, millions, and they're pushing bullshit. While I'm trying to do this kind of interactive thing with the audience and having a real conversation and trying to help people, and it's really hard to get traction, super hard to get traction. It's frustrating.
Well, let me tell you, this is another way that I tell and now it's really interesting hearing you because you're kind of on the inside, like you talk to these people, a bunch of these people. Mm-hmm. But as an outsider, I always was like, okay, whoever has beautiful production, something is suspicious. Not a lot of money involved in the production.
Yep. So they're going to tell you how the New World Order is, but they have lots of time to do nice sound system and nice editing and
where's all this money coming from for their beautiful production as opposed to the guys who are telling the truth are more janky. I'll tell you,
have you noticed that most of my production is pretty low tech?
It's real, it's you doing the real deal. Right. But take a guy like I saw Steve Bannon production. My God, I mean, a ton, just a freaking just top notch production, in terms of the equipment that he had at Amfest, and similarly with Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, but where's this money coming? Where's this money coming from for Bannon? I mean, all right, he has a big following on Rumble, right? Yeah. It's monetized, so you may be getting some monetization from Rumble. The advertise that he's pushing doesn't seem to be able to pay him, his staff, and the equipment. So where's the money coming from?
Similar with Ben Shapiro. That guy had freaking 10 security around his booth. He had these massive guys, and he had, top shelf production. And you're okay, they're getting in, people are giving these people millions of dollars.
My understanding, I don't know about Bannon, but my understanding with Shapiro is that he's syndicated. Somehow, some of these podcasters can get syndicated, and they get a large payout from the syndicate.
Yeah.
So my understanding is he's sold to a syndicate.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
Now, how that syndicate makes money, I don't know. Now, it could be.
He also has a paid membership,
It could be through paid membership, some advertising revenue, and maybe some really rich donor pushing an agenda. You know, I don't trust Ben Shapiro for many reasons.
Yeah.
You know, I just feel, you know, there's different people are at different stages of their spirituality, right?
Yeah.
But when I see Shapiro, I just feel as though he was at a fork in the road and he decided to sell out than actually be genuine.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, and then, and you can kind of see that over time, his spirituality has declined because of the sellout.
Well, the yarmulke is somewhat fake, you know.
You know, I mean, well, just not that. It's just that you can see. I just don't see as much Yiddishkeit in Ben Shapiro now compared to 5 years ago.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And it's because the decision he made. He chose a decision for money, and his Yiddishkeit went down.
Wow, I didn't realize that. That's so interesting.
So I don't trust Ben Shapiro. I don't know. But I don't want to speak ill of anybody other than Joe Biden. But it's better not to speak ill of anybody. But I just feel as though that there was a transitional point when he went down this syndicate road for more money. That his Yiddishkeit went down.
Paul, yeah, I can see what you're saying. Like in other words, for me, his yarmulke has somewhat become a symbol now.
Yeah, I mean,
more than
I'm more religious. I am more religious than, and I don't wear a yarmulke.
Right.
I'm much more religious than Ben Shapiro. By a lot.
Right.
And I don't wear a yarmulke. You know.
Yeah.
So
you're actually quite learned in the whole.
But
I studied this stuff formally, and you're quite learned in Judaism. Yeah. Paul, if we could just go back for a second to like the drones in the sky, because I've got an idea about the flying saucers.
All right.
Yeah. For a long time when I thought about like flying saucers, I was like, I just imagined there were people in them. Like it's for sure a government project. It's a black project, and there are people in them. But now that we've seen like the drones and everything, I just think to myself, wait, those literally, because the government is so way ahead, like they say, I don't know, 50 or 100 years of what's commercially available. I don't know if it's that much, but let's just say it's definitely ahead many, many years. So wouldn't it make sense that those flying saucers it could just be drones that they're unmanned, and the reason why there's no issue with them flying and doing these weird movements is because they're drones, like they're remote control drones, and they've even talked about drones going in the water.
Well, here's the problem. Well, I mean, the drones can go in the water because you can make them waterproof. I can see that. Yeah, that's not a problem. But the problem is seeing some of assuming the footage is not doctored.
Right.
But seeing the footage where you have high velocity going, let's say from left to right, and then all of a sudden switching and going the other way instantaneously. Now the physics of that is just like you would be slowing down and then moving or turning around because of the G-force or whatever. So having instantaneous change of velocity, that's something that is not typical propulsion engineering.
Yeah.
Now, I was trained as an engineer, and I don't understand how that worked. I mean, other than like, bending space, or something, or maybe it's this 0-point energy stuff that Greer's pushing. But I just don't understand the propulsion mechanism to be able to instantaneously change vector, where it's going in the opposite 100% instantaneously. That to me is like, that just defies physics.
Yeah.
Or at least Newtonian physics, But I don't get it. I don't understand how it's now. Maybe that film that's out there is fake. maybe.
Right.
But if it's real, there's something out there that people are making that's pretty advanced with its propulsion technology.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, pretty fascinating. All right, just to end off, Paul, and thanks for taking my call, so to speak. And I just want to ask you a couple just personal questions, just for myself, some advice. Have you ever used Bloomberg Terminal?
Yeah.
Would you recommend? Because
No, because back in the day when I used it was in 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
I used it for 2 years. And at that time it was around $1,900 a month.
Okay, I have it for free.
Okay, well, if you
Through
have it
my
for free,
university.
it's a different
Through my
story.
university.
All right, it's a different story if it's for free. If someone has to pay for
Yeah,
it
no,
per
I heard
month,
it's really expensive.
it's not worth it.
But my university has it in
right.
the library. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So if you have access to it for free, then that's a different
Yeah.
story. So if you have it for free, it's useful. Yeah, it's useful.
Is it better than, because you can get I forgot what that charting software is. Do you think does it have some advantages?
So there's 3 main terminals that people use.
Okay.
Either for retail or for institutional investing. And that's Interactive Broker, Thinkorswim, which is through Charles Schwab.
Yeah.
All right, or Bloomberg tied to a broker. Because the Bloomberg terminal with the standard service cannot trade. You have to be tied to a broker where you put your money into a custodial account and then the broker trades the account. So some institute, when I was trading for Catholic Charities, we had different trading platforms that we used, like BNY Mellon. So so some people may have a large account in BNY Mellon and tie it to the Bloomberg terminal to trade. Or just log into the BNY Mellon website and trade off of that.
Right.
All right, but the average person out there that's a retail investor probably would only use a Thinkorswim or Interactive Broker as their trading platform if they want really good charting. Now, Bloomberg has really good charting, but that charting isn't any better than Interactive Broker or Thinkorswim. What Bloomberg has that's really good is that it has aggregated data for economics that's easy to access with their committees. So if you want to do research, economic research or financial research, and download the data sets, that's a great platform for that. These Thinkorswim and Interactive Broker, they do have some economic charting, but it's not easy unless you program into the API being able to download those data sets. And you would have to go to the St. Louis Federal Reserve to be able to download those data sets. So if you don't have the Bloomberg terminal and you wanted that economic data set, you could get it, but you would have to get it for free from St. Louis Fed. So, the Bloomberg terminal is really good as a one-stop shop because it's a data aggregator. But it's not, if someone's paying for it, it's not worth it. It's totally not worth it. It's a waste of money.
I don't know if it's called Trading View. There's like Trading View. Well, anyway, last thing, I was thinking of, I was thinking of starting a, one of those blogs. I forgot what they're called. I forgot what the company is called, but where people write down their. These days they don't call it a blog, but anyway, I was thinking of, so Trump is going to be there for 4 years. So as Trump news comes out, like say I had a page or an article that constantly updated that I had all of Trump's appointees with his information about that appointee, and then I could do analysis of bills, as for example, the 3 when Congress was debating this recent.
So Bloomberg has a function that it's called the law. They have a function called the law section on the terminal in government, where because it's a great data aggregator, you'd be able to get detailed information about law and about government bills through the terminal. But my understanding is that you'd be able to get that information also through Congress, this website.
Yeah, you can, but separately than the Bloomberg terminal, just, do you think I should, I wonder if it would be helpful if I was to start, posting, whether it was on X and, one of these blog things where
I would set up a X account and then set up a Substack.
Substack, that was the one I was talking about,
to update, what's the latest and greatest on what's going on, with these appointees or with Trump or with Congress. I think there's a need for that. I think there's a need for it. And I think that also being able to track what these congressmen and senators are doing with their finances. Where are they investing their money? I think that should be blasted from every mountaintop in America.
Have you seen those trading X account where they track Nancy Pelosi's trades?
I saw one. I haven't. I don't see it regularly or anything. I saw one post.
But I'm really good at reading a long bill and analyzing it and that sort of stuff. So yeah, do you think? I wonder whether it would be helpful to the people. Would people read it if I did this?
I think so, but it has to be in a summary format. It can't be long format.
Can't be right.
It has to be summary format, bullet point.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you can leverage AI to do that for you.
Yeah, I'm more used to the academic kind
of.
Right.
But the thing is that people, I tell you, I noticed this. Yeah. I did these long lectures on immunology and pulmonology on my website, right?
Yes.
And I just charge $50, and they get hours of content, PDFs and lectures that I do about really detailed stuff on the science of this and the medical significance of it.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of effort into making these modules.
Yeah.
All right. And they're good. They're good modules.
Yeah. They
the thing is that people just don't want to sit down and learn. They want everything spoon-fed. And if you remember, yesterday's broadcast with the first caller, I was a little terse, with him at the end. But the thing is that a lot of people just want to be spoon-fed.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
They just want to be spoon-fed, and they don't want to pay attention to nuance. They don't want, to read between the lines because of the censorship or anything like that. Everything has to be spoon-fed. Wow. And the reality of the situation is that my show is long form, and everything I do is long form. And it's not, But the wall that I keep on hitting is that many individuals need to be spoon-fed, and they don't want to put the time into it. And they have a very short attention span because of social media. I mean, this whole doom scrolling because of X or Facebook or whatever, it's created a mindset where it's like junk food with that dopamine hit, but people just don't have the concentration levels to read a 300-page book anymore. It's a problem, and I'll tell you, people need to stay away from some of this technology to just get back to a long form. I believe in long form talks and like this. I don't know how long we've been going, but most shows, when they take calls, they'll take a call and maybe it's 2 minutes. Right? No, that's not a conversation. A conversation's not 2 minutes. That's why I didn't like doing going on people's shows that are formulaic, where they have a 5-minute segment and then a commercial and then another 2-minute segment. I can't talk like that. I lose my concentration. I lose my thought process because for me to say something, it takes 5 minutes.
Yeah, and that was what was disappointing for me when I was at the AmFest conference, which was I realized people want that Steve Bannon bullshit. In other words, it's not like
destroy the system, save the Constitution. I used to be in the Navy.
Yeah. And I'm not saying maybe he's a good guy, and I sometimes I listen to his clips, he has good guests on, but it's just they don't want, it's like you're saying, they don't want to read the long report. They don't want to read the truth, they just want the hit. Mm-hmm. And this is
and when you don't read the long form, when you don't dive into if you don't cut the cake thick,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What will happen is that you don't get to understand the nuance
Yeah.
and all of the complexity that can emerge from the nuance. And so people go, is taking such and such bad? Well, maybe, but it's also maybe good too. But I don't have time to listen to the good part. I only want to hear the bad part. So you really don't want to know. So it's a problem. People's attention span is radically declining because of social media. So the best thing to do, for me, I shut down everything, right before Shabbos, right?
Yeah.
And there is like this detox that takes place. You're not around technology, no TV, no social media. Everything is nice and
It's really beautiful.
Right. And the thing
Very
is
peaceful.
but if you're in a holiday that kind of dovetails into the Shabbos, so let's say let's say Rosh Hashanah, and then you have 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, and then boom, you're going right into Shabbos. So you have 3 yontifs, right? 3 days of yontif, right?
Yeah.
So what will happen is it's like you're detoxed for 3 days, and you realize that your attention span is so much greater after that. So just do an experiment for the ones that are listening, and the ones that are watching the live stream. Do an experiment. Try to stay away from social media for 7 days, and you'll be amazed at what sort of cognitive change takes place.
You know what else I realized, Paul, was I was putting my cell phone next to I plug it in at night next to my head. And now what would happen is I would shut off the cell and I would leave the Wi-Fi and I'll watch a little video before I go to sleep. But I'm realizing when somehow the signals, I think it interferes with my sleep, so it doesn't make it as good. I'm going to go back to, regular alarm clock.
Well, I'm at a point in my life where I don't even use an alarm clock. I'm actually pretty good at just my biological clock.
Body clock, yeah.
Yeah, I'm within maybe 20 minutes, plus or minus 20 minutes. I haven't used an alarm clock for over a year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and just with school and stuff. So most days I don't need an alarm, but some, just in case. Well, Paul, January 20th is coming up really quick, less than a month away. So it's going to be wild from the start. And
that's the beginning of the wildness.
And
the whole Trump administration is going to be wild. It's literally, all kidding aside, it's like going on a roller coaster, all right?
Yeah.
And before the inauguration is just climbing up the first hill, click, 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 and then right when you get over the hill, that's when he's inaugurated, and it's going to be a wild ride for 4 years.
And I think he's going to day 1, day 2, day 3. He's going to be signing so many executive orders. I think it's just going to it's going to be, and I don't know if you've been following the people he's hiring, but he's hiring some real Silicon Valley top people. 2016 was I would follow it, but this is going to be something. But to also, the concern is also what kind of roadblocks that the left is going to throw in front of him. You can just imagine it's going to be everything. But
I think
anyway.
that as he flexes his muscles as president, the national security state's going to push back. Now the question is, what does that mean? My concern, serious concern, is that another 9/11 is going to hit in 2025.
Absolutely, and then actually. That CIA targeter, I think she said that they're shooting for 2025 as their planned year to do to do the 9/11. And let me recommend you a book actually. Let me see if I could pull it. Where did I put it? She wrote it, but it's about the coming terrorist attack. Where did I put it? But anyway, while I'm looking, I'll just say
Is this published through just a think tank, or is this published through just a more well-known publishing house?
No, it was. I think it was published through. Apparently, it's this group of former Intel guys, and they're out of Europe. and I think it was called The Coming Terrorist Attack in the United States. One second. Let me see if
This
it's here.
sort of reminds me of that white paper that was issued right before 9/11 by Wolfowitz.
Exactly. It's just too spot on. It's too, you know what? And so anyway, I'll find it and next time but you gotta, it was like $15 and it was just, it laid out the whole thing. It was just so good. Looking through my box of paperwork. Anyway, well, wild ride, and let's see if I put it here. I know I put it on my, because I hadn't read 2 pages. I hadn't finished 2 pages, and I was like, okay, I got to finish these 2 pages of the book. But, well, anyway, it's going to be, let me see if it's, I don't know where I put it, but it's going to be a wild ride, and we'll be here for it. And Paul, thank you for everything that you do and for being you.
I'm trying.
You're a light onto the world, and we appreciate it. And I will be in touch, especially when the stuff gets when the shit hits the fan.
Well, we're going to be covering it live, so.
And because this is kind of intimate, like in other words, like it's not this massive Bannon channel, kind of fly under the radar here. They don't really know we exist.
Well, I suspect that when things start to really boil up, that there's going to be more and more people that are going to see, because what's going to happen is as the news is breaking, it's also affecting financial markets. So the people that are watching the live stream with the dashboard, they're going to see that these things are all connected. So this unique thing that I'm doing may gain some momentum. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, no, you have a point, because it's weird, but when the whole coronavirus thing was happening, you were like the one guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I found you just through that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like you said, yeah.
Right. So when breaking news happens that's related to the Trump administration, that's especially tied to international policy, and it's affecting markets, right? And the things that I've been saying about the national security state, it all comes together. I don't think that there's anyone, not Bannon, not Alex Jones, not Stu Peters, none of them can cover it like I can. None of them. They don't have the financial knowledge or the economic knowledge. They don't have the medical knowledge or the scientific knowledge. They don't have the engineering knowledge like I have, and they don't have the metaphysical knowledge that I have. They don't get it. They don't get it. They just don't get it. But they have a big channel and they have a big mouth.
I can't think of anybody else like you out there on the internet.
Right. So so as it's breaking, hopefully it will gain some momentum, and and the idea is that it's not just about me. It's about people participating and sharing their thoughts and what they're seeing, and maybe they're in a certain company or within a certain agency within government, and they have a different perspective, and sharing that is important.
But that's why it's good you're laying the groundwork now.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, you've been laying it. It was like you were laying it for years before the 2020 when the thing hit, and then when it hit, you had already had all the
Well, when my brother died in 2010. I decided to, create a kind of a blog, like a video log of my thoughts on whatever was happening in the news, right? And it was just, and the reason why was my brother died young. He was only 36. It's relatively young. He didn't have any family or anything. He didn't, and so when we were basically cleaning out his house, after we buried him, right? It was like there was nothing. He didn't leave anything.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like when
He didn't leave like a thought.
Right. It was like there was no writings, there was no recordings.
Wow.
I mean, it was just,
that's
and
crazy.
so I made it an effort to leave something that when I die, there's something there for other people to see.
You know, I've thought about that.
That was
too,
the whole
because-
reason why I set up that channel, the large channel on YouTube. The whole reason.
Wow, that's crazy. But it's very helpful for us because, you know, we're the beneficiaries of it. But what's interesting is, you know, because I grew up, you know, Chabad, ultra Chabad, you know, and left and all that, you know, I started journaling, and it's the hardest thing to do. Like, not like a typical daily journal, but like going back and writing. Like, I'm going to write a book about my life. Now, it might just stay internal, but like you said, like, it'll be there if I ever have kids or whatever.
Right.
You know, internally within the family.
I'll tell you, there's something that I miss, not having something that I could hold on to from my brother. There's just nothing there. There's nothing there.
Yeah. Part of what I've been doing is I've been going back and no, that makes sense. And I thought about, I was like, if I die now, and I'm, you know, 42, so if I die now, like, my family will never really know who I was because, like, I don't really talk to them about these kind of, you know, I don't talk to them about, like, my inner, you know, the inner, you know, this is the story of when I was in religious school, or, you know what I mean? They're on, like, a different wavelength. They're on a different journey than I'm on. So they don't really know.
Right.
So if I left now, they wouldn't really, but if I write it down, then they'll at least be able to look at words and see, you know, they'll at least be able to have starting point.
I remember hearing a rabbi state that, you know, it's one of the missions in people's lives is to make sure they document their Torah.
Oh, wow.
You know, and a lot of people don't, you know, and that's what you're talking about, documenting your Torah.
Yeah. And, well, you know, one thing I found helpful was I've been going back and doing, like, genealogical research because I'm like, how did my parents become who they became, you know? Because the way they acted was the way they got taught by their parents, you know? And so I started tracing the stuff back, and that's been helpful too. Like, finding, you know, my grandfather, on one side, he was there during Kristallnacht, and to go back and, like, find, he was in this orphanage, and to go and, like, nobody knew the name of the orphanage, but going through all his records, I figured it out. And I found there was a documentary done on the orphanage, and it's like, oh, okay, now I finally am starting to understand, you know. And then on the other side of the family, there was lore in the family that, we had, like, fur trader ancestors that lived in, like, that came to America long ago and that were, like, in Virginia and sold furs. When I started doing the genealogical research, I figured out, oh, no, they were not in Virginia particularly. They were in Charleston, South Carolina, right before the Civil War. One of the great uncles fought, you know, for the South. So we're talking Jews, you know.
Right.
So, and then it's like, and I found that all, like, not long ago, and we're like, okay, we got to go visit Charleston. And
That's another thing that a lot of people don't understand in America that are non-Jewish, right? Yeah. They think that most Jews came to America, you know, during World War II, right? Or after World War II. That's not true. I mean, they were coming all the way in the early days, like 1636.
Yes. Yes. You know, you have ancestors that came back in the beginning. Now, was that?
Yeah, 1638. 1638. Yeah.
1638. Were they Jewish or not on that part?
On the that going that far back, they were not.
Well, how far back do you think that they were Jew?
They would have been in the 1700s.
Holy shit! But isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
So wait, now the people that were Jewish, say in the 1700s, were they? They didn't convert, so they would have married. In other words, there was a Jew. That is so crazy. So my ancestors, the farthest back I can see is about around 1850. But you had Jewish ancestry in the United States in the 1700s.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's interesting.
But they came in different ways depending on, like, what, you know, what line. You know, some go all the way back to the 1700s. There was another group that came in the There's another group that came in right before 1929.
Amazing.
So there's there are different waves.
What's really interesting is, so Charleston has like a main street, I forgot what it's called, King Street or something like that. And back in the day, the newspaper was the place where like they would say like, oh, your shipment of goods is coming in on this boat at this time and this day. This is like everything was in the newspaper. So now like Ancestry.com, they've put AI on this, so it's gotten better, and but like you can search and see like, okay, my great grandfather's store, and you see this like line of like these newspapers, and they have, this shipment came in and these were the goods for the store, and you're like, okay, this is the address of the store on King Street, and it's just like, people don't realize like, one, that there's a lot of information out there, and two, that newspapers had a different use then. They weren't just like a place for news, but that was the place where, like, that was the record. That was where everything went, was in the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just so, and I contacted, so there's like a Jewish museum and stuff like that in Charleston and South Carolina, and it's just super interesting. And they were like, they sent me additional material on my ancestors, and then on their store, and then my family's like, okay, we got to go visit, because we found out here's the synagogue where they probably prayed, because they were buried in a cemetery affiliated with that synagogue.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, it's just amazing. And like you said, people don't realize, Jewish people, that George Washington wrote a letter to Jews in Rhode Island back in the beginning of the country. Something saying that Jews will be treated well here in this country, and
It's sad, it's sad to see America at this juncture where there's a lot of anti-Semitism that's going on.
Yeah, and I know what you're referring to. You're saying like people think, oh, the Jews came from Europe at this, or the Jews came to Israel, for example.
The thing is that, Jews were coming from so many different regions. Some of them were from Europe, some of them were from the Middle East. Some of them were, from Northern Africa. Some of them were from England. Some of them were from South America. I mean, it's just there was, it's spread out. Diaspora was not just a European thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't understand that, and that there were different waves that came to the United States. But my whole life I've seen nothing but anti-Semitism. I mean, my whole life it's been
No kidding.
My whole life. I've never. It's
in Detroit.
Yeah.
You grew up in Detroit.
Yeah. But the problem is in Detroit, it's not. You have Jewish communities, and you also have non-Jewish communities. But so when you are in a secular part of your educational process, right? Because I went to public school for my elementary years. I went to Hebrew school and all that. But in public school, there's a lot of anti-Semitism. A lot.
Oh, that's true.
In the 70s and 80s, a lot.
That's true. And my grandfather, he went to Duke University, and they sprayed a swastika on his door.
Mm-hmm.
And it's.
Well, I was when I was doing my pre-med at Fordham. There was a swastika that was sprayed on the men's bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean, so there was a little bit of a, neo-Nazi thing going on. Now, I think it was, was it organized neo-Nazism over at Fordham? No. I think it was just a bunch of stupid kids. Privileged, kids that, wanted to, do something stupid, and that's what they did. But, this happens. This is happening today. This is happening in, every corner of America. You know, and it needs to stop. Yeah, I mean, there shouldn't be demonization of any religious, you know, group of people. Christian, Jews, or Muslim. It shouldn't happen.
Did you see any of this stuff? And now what people don't realize also is there's also anti-Semitism coming from the Muslim and the. Did you see any anti-Semitism at Harvard? I'm just curious.
I never saw any specific to. What I did see at Harvard was a push for communism.
Yeah, this is crazy.
I mean, a big push. There's a student group that's pretty strong that's really pushing very, very powerful socialism and communism at Harvard.
Yeah, the president of the school that I'm affiliated with, he has a good outlook on. So when like the communists, you know, started protesting after October 7th, because by the way, it wasn't Muslims out there. I went by and looked. It was a bunch of white commies. Okay, they were protesting October 7th. Okay, he said, hey, the #1 job of this place is to be a university. If you interfere with the operations of the university, like you're interfering with students studying or whatever, you're shut down. And he was super strict.
Mm-hmm. That's the way it should have been.
Sorry?
That's the way it should have been with these universities.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, as opposed to like Columbia or UCLA and, you know, I know what happened at UCLA. I mean, I'm not, like, I don't have personal knowledge, but I know the field. There is a big Jewish community out in LA, Beverly Hills, LA. And there's a bunch of people that are former IDF, you know, Israeli military. And they just were watching Jews being harassed and Jews being, you know, hit, or, you know, assaulted, whatever, at UCLA's campus. I don't know if you ever saw the video, but one night they came in and they went buck wild. They were hitting the protesters like they had, you know, a camp set up with like protections and this and that, hitting these people with wooden sticks and no holds barred. After that, the damn thing got shut down, the whole protest thing. But it took the Jews, I hate to say this, it took the Jews fighting back, you know. And it's interesting, you know. It's,
you know, it's just that you have these faculty members that are pushing an agenda. You know, and it's a lot of these faculty members are pushing kind of like a socialistic agenda.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, I just shut my mouth in class because I'm like, I don't want to, you know, in some way be hurt by it. But yeah, it's just like, you know, professors will. It's just horrible, you know. It's horrible.
Okay.
But,
yeah, I gotta wrap up the show here.
Okay, thanks so much, Paul. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, no problem. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so what I want to do is the market closed. It's 2 o'clock in New York. So the recap of the market here is 6,040 for the S&P 500. VIX is down at 14, so low risk. The Euro USD trading at 1.03. Oil ended at about $70 a barrel, about $70.17. BITO is at 24.25, and the USD yen is at 157.32. So the overall, the overall conclusion here is that equities were up. It seems to have basically mean reverted from the Fed announcement from last week. Let me plug some supplements here to help support the channel. Please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. That's my website where you can get all the supplements that I take. All right. You can buy them individually. You can buy them in boxes of anti-aging boxes and longevity boxes that will help to move you in the journey of proper health. Some of the supplements that you should be getting are vitamin C with the magnesium. This will help to boost up your immune system. During the cold season, take a double dose. Drink it with filtered water. Vitamin C is also good for your skin, especially when you cross-link it with collagen. To cross-link it with collagen, drink filtered water, take the collagen that I have on my store, and take the vitamin C. It'll cross-link and help with the dermal layer. Lignans. Lignans is an antioxidant and it also brings down inflammation. It's very important for your immune system. Helps to boost your immune system. It's a powder. You mix it with food or mix it with water or smoothie. Make sure if you mix it with water, it's filtered water. This will also help with your endocrine system. Please go to my store, boost up the immune system. That's really important because with a strong immune system, you're going to be able to fight pathogens. With a strong immune system, you're going to be able to fight cancers. With a strong immune system, you slow down the aging process. So please go to my store and get the lignans. It's very powerful stuff. Take every day. Mix it with your food. I have supplements like turmeric and ashwagandha. These stack really well together to bring down inflammation and boost up your immune system. And not only does it help with your immune system, it also helps with your cardiovascular system. Turmeric is an antioxidant and brings down inflammation. Ashwagandha controls glucose levels and cortisol levels. When you work these together, boom, what happens is that you bring down inflammation, you're bringing down those high glucose levels, you're bringing down cortisol levels, you're reducing stress, you're reducing the pro-inflammatory cytokines and improving your immune system. And by lowering that inflammation in your vascular system, you're reducing the chances of developing plaque. Please go to my store and get the turmeric and the ashwagandha, stack them together. Really important. Now, other supplements that will help with your cardiovascular health and your bone health is vitamin K2, MK7, very high quality vitamin that I have on my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and vitamin D3. Stack them together. They'll help to absorb calcium and help with depositing new bone when you're doing a little bit of resistance training. By doing resistance training, putting a little bit of stress on your bone structure, you are signaling your body, improve this area, strengthen this area. And over time, you'll have better bone density. In addition, taking these together will help with your cardiovascular health. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, get the vitamin D3 and get the vitamin K2. Stack them together. And nattokinase. Nattokinase is something that I've added to my stack that I take every day. The reason why I added it was to bring down LDL levels and to increase the HDL levels. That means you're improving your good cholesterol and you're decreasing your bad cholesterol. All right? Nattokinase also helps to break up clots because it's fibrinolytic. So go to the store, take this on a regular basis. The reason why I added it to my stack is that a lot of anti-aging gurus, all right, that have been, tweaking their protocol have been using over a long period of time nattokinase and have found benefits in cardiovascular health. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and take the nattokinase on a regular basis to be able to improve your cardiovascular health. You don't want to get on statins. Statins are bad, but by proper diet, exercise, and supplementation, you can improve your cardiovascular health. And lastly, zeolite. Zeolite helps to detoxify your body from heavy metals, chemicals, forever chemicals, toxins, right? Take 2 drops underneath your tongue, small drops, drink filtered water, do that every day. If you don't want to take it every day and you just want to detox maybe once or twice a year, the best way to do that is take about 4 or 5 drops underneath your tongue, small drops, drink the filtered water, do that daily until the bottle is done, and then do that once or twice a year. It's up to you, but doing a maintenance year-round is better for you. In addition, make sure you filter your water and reduce the number of foods that are processed in your diet. Now what I want to do is I want to play a video from Fox News talking about the Daniel Penny factor. This is in relation to the fire, the woman that was set on fire in the subway.
The illegal migrant arrested for setting a woman on fire, then watching her burn to death on a New York City subway, was previously deported. An ICE spokesperson telling Fox News the suspect is, quote, an unlawfully present Guatemalan citizen who entered the United States without admission by an immigration official. Enforcement and removal operations removed him from the U.S. to Guatemala June 7, 2018. Jonathan Fay is a former DHS Deputy Assistant Secretary, the former Director of ICE, and a former federal prosecutor. He joins me now. Jonathan, great to see you. Sorry under these horrific circumstances. And I want to add one more thing to this. Guardian Angels founder Curtis Lewa thinks the Daniel Penny case was the reason bystanders on that train did not help. We're going to read the quote right now. If we can scroll up a little, guys. There we go. Quote, there's no doubt that people don't want to get involved. It's the Daniel Penny factor. It's frozen people. They're saying to themselves, I don't want to get jammed up like Penny. So, Jonathan, doesn't it seem like we have the worst of both worlds here? An entirely preventable crime because the suspect should not have been in the country in the first place. And now a city where people are too scared to be good Samaritans because they don't want to have happen to them what happened to Daniel Penny.
I think you're exactly right. You have bad policies coming together and colliding to make the lives worse for the citizens of New York, particularly that victim. But I think it is really interesting that he says the Penny effect. It reminds me of, what people were calling the Ferguson effect several years ago, where police just basically aren't going to want to do their jobs if they're always going to be accused of misconduct and wrongfully in many and often most cases. And it is so sad when you see that because one, no one tried to help her when she was burning. I saw that article in the New York Post, I think, yesterday. But also, maybe it could have been prevented, and no one's going to stand in the way because even though Daniel Penny was acquitted, he still had to go through the rigmarole of a trial, the expense, the stress of not knowing if he's going to prison. So it really is just absolutely horrific. And then you go back to the fact that this was preventable. I mean, we know the Biden administration, after this person was deported during the Trump administration, they didn't do anything to prevent people from coming in. In fact, they encouraged people to come in by, providing them benefits, by telling them once they're here, they'll never get deported absent the most extraordinary circumstance. So, yeah, all of these bad policies collide to lead to one of the most horrific deaths I've ever seen. Plus, it makes the lives of everybody in New York and everyone in the country worse off because we know sanctuary cities, which is another one I think we're getting to, but those aren't just limited to the people in those cities. Like we know with Lincoln Riley, New York sanctuary cities policy led to her death. So all of these bad policies harm everyone, not just the victims, which makes them even more and more disgraceful than, just limited to a precise incident.
We don't just lose our humanity by happenstance. It is furthered along with policies, like you mentioned, like sanctuary city policies and this soft on crime DA that we've seen throughout the last 10, 15 years, I'd argue. We mentioned sanctuary cities, conservative watchdog America First Legal putting sanctuary cities on notice by sending advisory letters to 249 officials across our country. The letter reads, quote, we have identified your jurisdiction as a sanctuary jurisdiction that is violating federal laws. Such lawlessness subjects you and your subordinates to significant risk of criminal and civil liability. Jonathan, what criminal and civil liability, as a lawyer, as somebody who's prosecuted people, could these jurisdictions and the officials in them face?
The criminal liability, there's a harboring statute, it's Title 8, Section 324, which basically, if you do anything to shield, conceal, harbor an illegal alien, somebody you know is an illegal alien or have reason to know is an illegal alien in this country, you could be guilty of harboring, which is a federal felony with a maximum penalty of 10 years. So you have that statute, and the way the federal government could approach this, these communities that the leaders are directing people beneath them as sheriff's offices and stuff to essentially violate, to harbor, to hide illegal aliens. They could be targets of these investigations, and all what the federal government could do in terms of the investigation is they could subpoena all these people that work in the jails, work in the communities, subpoenas their communications, the records of these jails to find out who's illegal in the jail, when they're getting out, things like that. And what will make it particularly difficult for these communities will be, or these sanctuary cities will be, it will be extremely expensive to fight this, and they don't want to go to federal prison solely to keep illegal alien criminals in the country, which is what they're doing. They're not, they try to portray this as, hey, we're trying to keep illegal aliens, people from being deported from schools or hospitals, but what they're doing in actuality is people in jails convicted of crimes or charged with serious crimes, like the one in Massachusetts you just reference, that was a sanctuary city. They released a sex offender because they wouldn't cooperate with ICE. This is either going to stop or they're going to be criminally liable. They can also be civilly liable for things that these criminals commit once they've been released in violation of these ICE detainers. So I think they're really going to face some hard choices coming up at the beginning of the year. And I think most of them are going to yield, and the ones that don't are going to wish they did.
Finally, President Biden sparing dozens of federal death row inmates, including child murderers like Jorge Torres, who you, Jonathan, prosecuted. Let's go over his bio, if you will. He was given the death penalty after he sexually assaulted and stabbed two girls, one 8-year-old, one 9-year-old to death in 2005. Then 4 years later, he strangled a 20-year-old naval officer. Is Jose Avila Torres someone who should be given the gift of a commutation this Christmas, Jonathan?
No, absolutely not. And this is so disgraceful to the Biden administration. I just want to say the names of these victims. Laura Hobbs was 8 years old. Crystal Tobias was 9 years old when they were murdered on Mother's Day, stabbed to death. Laura Hobbs was sexually assaulted, stabbed in both eyes over 30 times in total. Amanda Snell was serving our country, was sexually assaulted and strangled while she slept in her barracks in Fort Myer in Arlington, Virginia. Torres also attacked 3 women in Arlington, raped one of them, strangled her, and left her for dead in the woods. She happened to survive. So, yeah, he shouldn't be given a gift by the Biden administration. And what the Biden administration did, which is really makes this disgraceful in a number of ways. One, he's basically nullifying the death penalty totally, but he didn't want to go through Congress, nor did he want to discuss that he was doing it. This was a Christmas Eve release when he did this. The other thing that makes it really bad is there are 3 people that were spared the death penalty, the most high profile of these cases, and Biden in his statement about why he's getting rid of or why he's commuting the sentence, he was like he couldn't in good conscience impose the death penalty, meaning the death penalty as a whole is unconscionable, but for some reason it's not for high profile cases. And the final point I want to make, I would like to know, and I hope somebody will ask the White House, did they notify any of the victims that they were going to commute the sentence of the killers of their children and their loved ones right on Christmas Eve, or did they just have to find out about it in the news yesterday? The whole thing just stinks. It's such cynical politics, the way he did it. It shows lack of compassion for the victim, which we've seen over and over in this administration. They put criminals ahead of victims, criminals ahead of cops. It's one of the most disgraceful things, and done in the most embarrassing way. If he wants to do it, he should have put a bill in front of Congress saying, we want to eliminate the federal death penalty, but he didn't do that, didn't have the courage, if these are even his convictions or whoever.
That is a question as well.
They should have done it legitimately.
Jonathan Fahey, we're to say Merry Christmas.
Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and help support the channel and your health by getting the omega-3. This helps with your lipid profile. It lowers LDL and increases your HDL levels. That means that it's going to improve your total cholesterol and help with your cardiovascular health. NAC is something that I have added to my stack. It's a supplement that I've added. This helps to boost up glutathione levels to soak up free radicals. In addition, NAC helps to detoxify your liver and your kidney, and NAC helps to reduce anxiety and bring your nervous system into parasympathetic. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, get the NAC, boost up those glutathione levels, and soak up those free radicals. NAC is synergistic with C60. Myotrol, really important. Why? when we get older, we start losing muscle mass. To maintain the muscle mass and to increase your muscle mass, get Myotrol. This has flavonoids, polyphenols, and lignans. In addition, if you're an athlete, you know what? Take Myotrol and you're gonna get strength performance by using Myotrol as a supplement. So go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Link is in the description of this video and all my videos. Get the Myotrol, very high quality supplement to maintain your muscle and to gain muscle. That's really important when you get 40 plus years of age. It's for males and females. Resveratrol, antioxidant, also helps to get rid of senescent cells. Really important. It works really well with C60. It stacks really well with C60 and ubiquinol and NAD+. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Take the resveratrol. I've been taking resveratrol for decades. It does wonders, but it works really, really good when you stack it. You can stack it with stuff like C60. C60 you can get in avocado oil, MCT coconut oil, or extra virgin olive oil. C60 is a carbon molecule, 60 carbons as a molecule. It looks like a soccer ball. All right, it'll soak up free radicals. It's very potent. You take a teaspoon a day, every day, and it'll soak up those free radicals. And by soaking up those free radicals, you're reducing the stress in the cell and you're improving the mitochondrial health. That means you're going to have more ATP, and with more ATP, your different tissues in your body will perform better, like your neurons, like your endocrine system, like your immune system, and other different tissues in your body, even your skin. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Take the C60 every day, take a teaspoon of it. You can get it in a 2 ounce, a 4 ounce, or an 8 ounce configuration. And by taking it every day, you're going to start noticing that there's compound effects and you're aging slower, and your immune system is getting better, and your tissues are performing better. So all these different systems in your body are going to be better. So please go to my store and get the C60. And stack it, like I've been saying. Stacking is the key. Stacking. Now what I want to do is I want to play a video about Trump taking the Panama Canal. Now guess what? I am for taking the Panama Canal.
More than just beautiful dance. It's a touch of the divine.
Tonight, a closer look at President-elect Donald Trump's first rally-like speech since winning the election. Trump made a wide range of remarks on immigration, the Panama Canal, and even Elon Musk. Here's some of what the former president and now the president-elect said at a conservative conference in Arizona on Sunday.
The victory was such an outstanding one, such a big one, and the other side now, they lost their confidence. If you watch television now, they're all befuddled. They don't know what the hell happened. We will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America in full, quickly, and without question. When you look at, like, autism from 25 years ago, and you look at it now, something's going on, and I nominated Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Is something wrong? I think so. And Robert and I and all, we're going to figure it out. President Trump has ceded the presidency to Elon Musk. No, that's not happening. But no, he's not going to be president, that I can tell you. And I'm safe, you know why? He can't be. He wasn't born in this country.
I want to bring in the former Trump senior advisor, Anthony Scaramucci. Anthony, thanks very much for joining us. You got a smile on your face right now. It looks like the President Musk jokes are getting a bit under Trump's skin. Anthony, you were once a key part of Trump's inner circle in the White House. Do you see their relationship turning sour anytime soon?
You know what I find, my observation of Scaramucci is that he's a scumbag. All right, he didn't last in the Trump administration for more than 10 days as was he press secretary or whatever, you know. And you know, there's something about him where it's like he's been anti-Trump ever since. All right. Nothing that Trump can do that's right. Now let me get this straight. You know, he puts all these books in the background, you know, making it seem as though he's an intellectual. Yeah, he must be a real scholar, Scaramucci. Real scholar.
But I think what's happening is he's also knows that a lot of the stuff coming from the left is premeditated. And so that's what's shielding him for right now. But he won't like it. The more attention Elon gets, if there's a problem, he'll look to blame Elon or somebody else on his team. You know, if you just look at what's going on with Speaker Johnson right now, prior to getting that spending bill passed, they were calling him a Democrat. So, you know, it's a perilous situation. There's a honeymoon period going on right now. But trust me, he doesn't like it. He wouldn't be bringing it up. If it didn't bother him, Wolf, he wouldn't be bringing it up. And so, you know, it's like Shakespeare, doubt does protest too much.
Yeah, good point. We saw how much influence Elon Musk had in last week's debate here in Washington over government spending.
Another thing with Wolf Blitzer from CNN, he's just like Scaramucci. There's nothing good about Trump. He never says anything good about Trump. And can we really trust Wolf Blitzer? Really? There's something about Wolf Blitzer that I don't like. What is it? I'm not sure.
What do you make of Musk's role in Trump's party?
Well, listen, he's got a very powerful role. He's got a $44 billion megaphone. He's got over 200 plus million followers. And Wolf, he was instrumental in that election. The stuff that Elon Musk did in Pennsylvania alone, I think, helped the president win that election. So he has a very big voice. I think the problem for Elon Musk, though, he's got a little bit of Potomac fever. And so you think you're going to go to Washington and change Washington. That's Potomac fever. And the weird thing about Potomac fever is one of the symptoms is you don't know you have Potomac fever. And of course, I have had Potomac fever, Wolf, so I'm speaking as a former patient that's been afflicted with the disease. So he's just got to be very, very careful because he's making enemies that he doesn't realize, and the incentives in Washington are totally different than those in business. And so everybody's incentivized in a different and sometimes irrational way. And I think the power that he's wielding right now, Washington has a great immunological system, and I think they'll find a way to rebut him. So I would say to Elon Musk, not he would listen to me, but stick to business. You've done great. You've made a couple $100 billion since the election. Lay off the gas on politics a little bit because these people can hurt you, and it's no need for you to get hurt. You're doing so well.
Let's backtrack here. What is Scaramucci saying? He's trying to scare Elon, saying, "Oh, the system, the deep state, the national security state could go after you. So you better behave, or we'll go after you." This is the point I'm making. Trump needs to restructure the national security state because it's out of control. The national security state feels as though it's not beholden to Congress, we the people, or the executive branch, or even the judicial branch. They feel as though they are a government unto its own. And because of that, it needs to be restructured. Now, why is Scaramucci trying to scare Elon?
Is Anthony, President-elect Trump is talking about buying Greenland once again, like he did in his first term, writing on Truth Social, and I'm quoting him now, "The United States of America."
I think it's a great idea. I think our founding fathers are clapping in their grave because it's expansionism for America. You know what? And it would help the citizens of Greenland and Canada.
Feels that the ownership and control of Greenland is an absolute necessity. Now he's also talking about taking control of the Panama Canal. Is this a realistic policy he's advocating? What do you think?
Well, I mean, you left out Canada. I mean, obviously we've got Governor Trudeau in Canada, and he's talking about a mini invasion of Mexico, I guess. I don't know. I mean, this is the stuff that he says, and then, his cultists get out there and say he's either serious or not serious, depending on what he's saying. And so I don't like it because it just makes us look bad. And what ends up happening is you force allies to form unnatural alliances against the United States. And so if you want to put a military base in Greenland, I'm sure there could be a negotiation related to that, just like we have military bases all over the world in other sovereign countries. But to put that out on Truth Social, I don't understand what his advisors are even saying to him about the common sense related to that, because it's just really lacking. So you tell me, Wolf, are we going to invade Canada, Mexico? Are we going to take Greenland and the Panama Canal? I don't know. I mean, if we're doing that, it's going to be a rough 4 years.
Yeah, I suspect that's not going to happen, but we shall see. Well, let me get your thoughts before I let you go, Anthony, on the House Ethics Committee report released today on former Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz.
Before we do the Matt Gaetz thing and his Scaramucci's take on it, because Scaramucci is a plethora of wisdom, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the Boomer Boost. All right? This is a powder. You mix it with food or with a smoothie or with filtered water, and or I mix it with hummus, or you can mix it with yogurt. But this has 68 nutrients. It helps with your heart health. It'll boost up energy levels, and it is a great way to just use it as a meal. All right, and you can couple it with either the Gladiator barley or the heirloom barley as a meal. All right, because this is a protein. The barley is a protein. All right, so you can take the Boomer Boost by itself, or take it with the heirloom barley or the Gladiator. Now, which barley should one use if they want to detoxify their body? All right, heirloom barley is really good for detoxifying the body. It reduces inflammation, and it'll soak up free radicals through superoxide dismutase. All right. If you want to build strength, a great way to do that is to take the Gladiator barley, and it'll also reduce inflammation and soak up free radicals through superoxide dismutase. All right. So if you want to build muscle, take the Gladiator barley and take the Boomer Boost and take the Myotrol. All right. But if you want to take them together, I have it in a box. It's called the Longevity Boost box. All right. And it's discounted if you want to buy them in a pair. All right. Also use the discount 5 to get additional discount. Discount, all caps, discount, and then the number 5. And if you buy the Longevity Boost box, you'll have the choice of either heirloom barley or the Gladiator barley, depending on if you want to detox or if you want to build strength. It's up to you. But it's a great way to get healthy, and you can use it as a meal. So you actually can kind of save money if you're using it as a meal, because you're getting healthy, you're detoxing, and you're building strength, and you're using it as a meal. So it's a great way to get healthy. So please, go to my store, get the Boost, the Boomer Boost, get the Gladiator barley, and get the heirloom barley. You can take them separately, or you can mix it. It's up to you. Structural nano silver gels are really important. Why? It's a dual purpose product, and I have it in 2 different ways of using it. I have it in a tube form, and I also have it in a dispenser. You can carry it in your bag, great way to just put it on your hands, around your mouth, around your nose, around your eyes, around your ears, lightly coat your nostrils, stays active for 5.5 hours, creates a barrier, neutralizes pathogens. You can use it as a skincare. Put it on your skin at night, exfoliate in the morning, and what you'll notice is your skin's clearer and tighter, especially around your face. It'll also help to heal wounds quicker. It's a dual purpose product. It's something that you should have in your house at all times. So please go to my store and get the structural nano silver gel in the tube form, or in the easy dispense form. And lastly, before we go to Scaramucci, Max 35 take it every day, or take the Max 14, take a teaspoon a day, swish it in your mouth, gargle, 20 seconds or so, swallow. What happens is you're improving your oral hygiene, you're neutralizing pathogens, you're improving the mucosal lining, and by doing that, you're improving your immune system. Please go to my store and get the Max 35 and get the Max 14. If you're not feeling well during the cold season, take a tablespoon or 2 a day.
He paid women for sex, including a 17-year-old girl. How did the Trump team not know about these allegations before he was announced to be the president-elect's pick for Attorney General of the United States?
Well, I think if you do research on that, I think what you'll find is that that was an impetuous move by President Trump that caught a lot of his staffers off guard. And I think when they regrouped and they explained to the president that they probably knew about this information and that this information would derail him, they let it happen. They just let that derailing take place. A couple of senators got to Matt Gaetz behind closed doors and said, look, this is not happening. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass the president, and drop out of the race. But I think this is one of the problems. They were set up probably to pick Pam Bondi. Trump in an impetuous move, President Trump in an impetuous move moved to pick Matt Gaetz. Now, I don't know who moved him. Sometimes it's the last person in the room that can do that to him. But I think he caught his aides off guard. And I don't think it's true that his aides didn't know about the situation. I think they did. And that's the reason why Matt Gaetz left the Congress and had no chance to be Attorney General. And I'm not surprised that this report came out, because that's what happens in Washington. This stuff never stays sealed.
Yeah, good point. Gaetz has suggested he would run for the Senate in Florida, his home state, or maybe even that Trump would bring him into the administration in a position that doesn't require Senate approval. Do you see Gaetz working in the Trump White House in some position?
I mean, listen, anything can happen. I mean, maybe he'll make him the next comms director after Stephen, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know President Trump, anything can happen. He could bring him in just to upset people. I hope it doesn't happen, because I think Matt Gaetz, if you read that report, what he did is absolutely reprehensible, and he shouldn't be in our government. It's just a lack of respect. It's disrespectful to the American people to put Matt Gaetz in a role like that. But you and I both know that anything can happen with Donald Trump. He could make a decision to do that, and there'll be very few people that will be willing to stop him. But I hope it doesn't happen. I think Kevin McCarthy finally has his due here, Wolf. He explained to people over the last 18 to 24 months what was going on with Matt Gaetz, and I think there's somebody here right before the eve of Christmas that feels vindicated, and that's Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, good point. Anthony Scaramucci.
That is my broadcast. It has been about 196 minutes or so of it. Thank you for listening. I appreciate the ones that were on X Spaces listening and contributing. I also appreciate the ones that are watching the live stream on Rumble and on YouTube. Please help support my work by going to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Follow my protocol. These are supplements that I take on a regular basis to improve my health. In addition, help support the work by sharing the links, asking your social media to follow me. I'm trying to build out this kind of, bi-directional communication where we're going to be covering live breaking news. Some days there's going to be a slow news cycle, but that way I get the audience participating in breaking news. I think that's important, especially the next 4 years is going to be pretty interesting in terms of news cycle. So thank you for listening. I wish everybody a happy holiday season, and just be safe, be healthy, and going into 2025, you can improve your health. You can improve and get better and get healthier. I'll help you do it. I'll walk you through it, all right? I'm telling you how to do it. So, and by doing that, you're gonna just you're gonna have just more energy, and you're gonna be able to have a better life and all this. You wanna have chronic illness, or do you wanna try to mitigate that? You can do it. So, thank you for listening, and have a nice day.